Always Irish Joe. Always Irish Joe. Always Irish Joe. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison. I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing. Doing a damn thing. The calling line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, to an Always Irish After Dark. The countdown to kickoff is on. Edition of the Always Irish After Dark radio show. I feel the football in the air, folks. I don't know what to tell you. It's hot outside, but I don't care. I walk out. I feel like football's coming, and I love it. I need it. I want more of it. Thank you for being here. I'm happy to be here. It is just, here's the thing, man. Every week through the summer, we grinded. We found every angle. We talk about recruiting. We talk about big picture. We talk about small picture. We broke down every single game, every single segment of games, the marquee three, the traps, people you should blow out, all of it. We've done all of it. And all summer, you guys were here, and I appreciate it. And we're finally getting to the light at the end of the tunnel. Camp starts next week. It's the most beautiful thing ever. I need it. All right? And I know you guys too. So we got a lot to cover. We already got callers, and I take heat all the time for not queuing up the callers early. So we're going to go to the callers earlier, all right, and give you guys some say. Thank you for being here on a Saturday night. I know there's a lot going on, and you guys might have things to do, family events, things to do with your kids, your wife, your husband, whatever it might be. Thank you for spending some time with me, all right? On YouTube, obviously, hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps me as well. Notifications on. You and I both know why. That way you alerted every time a new episode drops. I know you don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish, rat, Always Irish Inc. I don't know about you guys. My Twitter's been acting up all day. It doesn't load. I click on something. It doesn't go through. I don't know what the hell's going on. Maybe it's just me. But my Twitter wasn't acting right today, and it was pissing me off. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can locate me. The call-in lines. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Fighting Irish Wire every damn day of your life. I know you're like me. You wake up. What's going on in Notre Dame land? I don't know. I need more information about it. That's when you type Fighting Irish Wire in your internet box. And you read all the stories that come out from me and my compadres over there. Nick Shepkowski, Nicky the Kid from 670 to Score, Chicago. Myself, good group over there. Check it out every damn day. Every day, okay? First things first, I gotta say, Nicky Dean, it's nice to be heard and seen, baby. I miss ya. I want to see you again. I hope you and the family make it for the Central Michigan situation we got. We're going to have ourselves a hell of a party in that parking lot. Nicky Dean, thanks for the $10 hour. Love the Saturday night shows. I think our offense is going to be epic this year. I'm hopeful for that, but I do have some concerns. Even though we trust Hartman, are those wide receivers ready to step up, or is he going to bring them along and a quicker? All right, that's one question I have. Second question I have is guard play. My prediction is if Notre Dame's offense against the better teams we play is not as effective as we want, it is my suspicion that the guard play and the offensive line up front may be to blame. I don't want that to happen. I want them to be good. I'm just telling you, if I'm an opposing defensive coordinator, I ain't messing with those tackles Notre Dame has too much. I'm throwing every game, every confusion, everything I could do to mess up those guards in the middle of that Notre Dame offensive line. That's where I'd be focusing if I was an opposing defensive coordinator. Now, if that group's okay and the wide receivers are athletic and ready to go and Hartman can help them ingratiate themselves in the offense easier than it would have been last year with our quarterback, then the sky's the limit on the offense. As we sit today, I want them to average about 38 points per game. I'm just telling you, I want them to average around 38 points a game. That's the number I've been having in my mind that I've settled on. That's what I want. And I know you're going to have some up, some down. You might end up with bad weather and it brings it all down. I know. I'm just telling you, Notre Dame's got to get a real offense. Okay? Points win. Points win. Even teams with good defenses give up points in the playoff. Points win. And Notre Dame needs to score more of them. Also, if you're like me and you have some hesitations on the defensive side of the football, the number one thing that could help aid that all along is a great offense. You're putting up more points, relieves the pressure on the defense. Even if you're not putting up touchdowns, but you hold the ball more, you're not going 3 and out, you're eating up some time with some drives. I love that as well. That also helps out the defense. So that offense should be everybody's best friend. That's what I'm hoping to see and what I hope Notre Dame can be. All right, folks? So Nick Dean, I appreciate that very much. Justin Jenkins, let's go, John. I'm here and I'm ready to go, baby. What do we got? C. Jones, Mike Jones. What? Mike Jones. Man, am I that old that I remember those songs? Mike Jones, he had that one hot summer, baby. Evening, John, it's Saturday night, and we were talking ND football. I am all in. Go Irish. 5 weeks for those keeping track. Listen, unless I'm sorely mistaken or sorely mistaken or sorenly mistaken to make it very Notre Dame priest-like, I believe Notre Dame's practices start next Wednesday. And then we're off to the races. And where am I going to be next Wednesday? Notre Dame. Can't wait. Going to be at Notre Dame Tuesday night, all day Wednesday, and then Thursday morning. I have some meetings. I have some things to do. I have some people to see. All right? So, announcement. I may go live Monday morning and Tuesday morning so we don't lose the Wednesday show when I'm on campus. So I'll make that official announcement, but we may just shift it into Monday, Tuesday, building up for Wednesday being the opening day of camp and go over what we're looking to hear out of the reports from camp and all that sort of stuff. I'll make that announcement later this weekend or Monday. But I'm excited to get back to campus, and I like being back to campus without 100,000 people. I don't have the anxiety that we're going to lose a game and I'm going to be mad at everybody and hate everything. And it's nice to be there without that kind of pressure. So that's what we're going to do. And we'll see how that goes and those meetings and what we're able to accomplish. Connor, it's good to see you. You're back. I know Connor primed up. He's primed up. Mark, John, you should make a shirt that says misguided passion in your merch portfolio. Oh, don't worry. I got something brewing for that. I really do. I got something brewing for that. Mark also says he's listening on the driving range, bro. I don't know if that's a good idea. I might be yelling about something in your backswing and you might shank one. I don't want to take responsibility for your golf game. I really don't. Domer guy. I know where he's going. Did you all know in every other red take over Nebraska, Georgia, Cincinnati, ND was undefeated in every one of those games? Wait a second. What? You mean defeated? Not undefeated. We lost all those games. You mean defeated, I think. Am I reading this wrong? I think you mean defeated. And it was sad, too. Let's paint the house that Rockville green on September 23rd. No more red takeovers. I'm all for that. Fifth wheel. What's going on? Let's see. What do we got here? Did you know new wide receiver signing? Is it Saldate? Saldate? What are we? Is it fancy? What are we working with? Has a brother who wrestles at Michigan State. I did not know that. I also don't know if I care. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be mean. I just also don't know if I care if that's relevant. Are you telling me he's tough because they're wrestlers in the family or what? Bring wrestling back to ND, says maybe that's what it was. We want some of that back. Uh-oh, look out. We got somebody scouting us here from the other side. American Buckeyes. OHIO. I do like how you put those little turds after it, though. Thanks for acknowledging that. I like that. Those look nice and juicy. That's beautiful. Go Buckeyes. What kind of show do I got here on a Saturday night? Jonah Hanrahan. That is an Irish name, and I like it. Jonah Hanrahan. I love that. Give me them shamrocks. The Art Foundation's in the house. How many days of wake up? I don't know. 4 or 5 weeks. We can make it. Greg, what's going on, brother? Greg, I want an update from your date. Like a month ago, you told me you were listening to me pre-gaming for a date with a beautiful young lady. I would like to report. You don't got to give me all the details, but I'd like to know how it went. Drunk Vigo. Johnny, your arms are so thin, bro. I mean, what can I say? I have a skeleton body frame. I don't know what else to tell you guys. Even when I've tried to go out of my way to gain weight, I do not eat enough calories that it takes to gain weight. And then I'm wound so tight with anxiety about this or that or worrying about Notre Dame or this. I just burn off any fat I gain anyways. I'm just wound tight, baby. I'm a walking skeleton. You heard it here first. Conundrum, good to see you. The Sunset Kid is here. Tex and D, what's going on, baby? Let's talk some ND football. Football's starting. Let's see what we got. That's the idea of the show. Look at this. I truly believe 12-0 is attainable. It is, but a lot of certain things have to happen, and they got to go right. Craig, good to see you, Craig. Off the boat. I got to get on that boat, Craig. We'll have ourselves a night. Taj Murphy, good to see you. Jaded Clay, ND9, all the regulars are here. Patrick Cotter, look at that. Do you guys think he takes too long to introduce me? Just for that, I'll have you sitting here another hour if we're going to play that game. You could sit there in the backstage talking to yourself if you're going to start putting that peer pressure on me. Also, Pat, people don't always know if you're going to be here every week. I like to surprise, drop it on them a little bit. Oh, man. Anyways, drunk, it's good to see you. Roger Dodger, what's up, man? Roger Dodger, who do you love and who loves you, John? The USC fan base. I don't want anything to do with that. And you're here a lot, too. Look at these phone calls today. I'm going to have to get off the line. Pat, why are you calling? You're a jerk. You think I'm going to take you on the call-in line and leave you backstage? What a freaking jerk, man. Yeah, hang up. Oh, man, that's just wrong. Jeremy Welling, ND9. Tim B, is that Timmy Brown? I hope it's Timmy Brown. Lee. Oh, look at this, Lee. Lee's trying to depress the group on a Saturday night, which was otherwise going to be lively. Callers, I'm going to bring you up in 1 minute, maybe. Let's see what Pat has to say. Lee, so does ND lose to OSU by 2 or 3 TDs? Better not be either of those. I'm not letting you bring me down. Okay? I refuse to let you bring me down. Brian Van Gorder's burner. Do I have a nice Irish name? No, you do not. You are associated with Irish shame, and I want you to go away forever. Ever. Never in my wildest dreams could I imagine a Notre Dame defensive coordinator teaching these smart Notre Dame kids how to play defense. And all these smart Notre Dame guys go, it's so complicated, we don't even know where we're supposed to be. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, that guy. Oh, man. Look at this. Robert, they all finally figured out this is really an Ohio State fan show. I mean, The only thing I say positive about Ohio State is that they're not Michigan. I don't know what else you expect from me. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know what it is. The other thing it could be, this is me being mean, but maybe these Ohio State people wouldn't. None of you guys got anything to do on a Saturday night? You don't have no ladies to take out or nothing available on a Saturday night? See what John has to say? Oh, look at this. Nick Dean. Now I know you're sucking up. Johnny, you are a beautiful man. You don't have skinny arms. Hey, I would rather have skinny arms than have fat arms and fat everything else. If I'm going one way or another, 100 times out of 100, I am choosing to get made fun of for being too skinny instead of the other way, which most of this country is, waddling around town, unable to fit in their airplane seat, hanging over into mine. Okay? Give me a break. All right. Jeez, come on. You're here. Back off. Jesus, what do you want? What do you want?
So that rant, I just wanted to let you keep going on that rant of the airplane and the
It just bothers me. Pat, did you see there is a big push that like they were going to protest the airline saying that it's not fair.
See that. I did see that.
Have to fit in the seat, and it's like, how dare you treat us that way? I have no damn problem fitting in my seat. Why in the world is that anybody else's fault?
I'm with you on that. This is quickly turned into an always annoyed segment.
Airplanes should be like limos, Pat. I hit a button and the walls go up on my part so nobody can hang over. Hey, what's up, girl?
Pat. No, I didn't even see her.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Hey, what's up, girl?
I got my buds in, so she can't hear.
Pat. Let's zone it in. All right, let's zone it in a little bit.
I thought we were going to talk about fat people on airplanes.
It bothers me. It will never not bother me. The other thing with that pisses me off, when I fly into Fort Lauderdale, it's like a touristy destination to get to my brother's. If I could fly into Palm Beach, I prefer it, but it's a smaller airport and they don't always run a bunch of flights. But when you go into the touristy area, what I've noticed is when I'm at Midway waiting for the plane, like in the waiting area, you got all these women and they don't look old, but they're bigger. Okay. And they're all getting wheeled up there. The wheelchair people wheel them up in the front so they could cut the line. And they're not old, but they are big and they're out of shape. But they're not old. And they get wheeled in there, and then they get to go on the plane first, and the guy wheels them in there. And it's like, oh man, maybe she has MS, maybe she has all these problems. It's amazing to me when that plane lands in Fort Lauderdale.
She gets up and walks off.
The Lord cured my illness on the plane. And them women are running to the beach. They're the first ones off the plane. They run to get their bags and they're out at the beach. It will never not rub me the wrong way. Walk your big ass down there like everybody else. It's not okay. It's not okay. Society can't function when people take advantage of systems like that. Jesus healed them, Pat. They were able to walk out and go to the beach in Fort Lauderdale, but in Midway, they couldn't move their legs, and some poor guy making minimum wage had to wheel them into the plane. It's wrong. It's wrong. Let's talk about football. All this is going to do is get me canceled. All right?
That's why I don't want to say anything.
All right? It just pisses me off.
John, you go write a country song about this, all right?
It just makes me, try that in a small town. Wheel your ass and walk your ass out, okay? Do that, okay? It's a miracle. It's just hallelujah. The Lord cured my legs on that 2.5-hour flight. Now I'm at the beach. You think I'm that stupid that I didn't notice you needed a wheelchair and you were crippled on the way in and on the way out you don't? You think nobody else on that plane is aware?
So I do like I'm going to San Diego Monday morning. I do travel a lot for work, and sometimes I get upgraded to business class. And there was a time I was going to Florida. I was going to Naples, and this was just a family trip, but I got upgraded to business class. I had to sit all the way at the back of the plane because there's like 200 wheelchairs that came through, and I was like, "What the hell? What is the good of this business class if everybody in a wheelchair gets to go ahead of me?" It's unbelievable.
It's a little rough. Like now they got it. You could get you 98% of the people getting on the plane at pre-boarding, and it's like
Yeah,
you're the one
yeah.
guy waiting at the end that doesn't have any problems or kids
Oh,
or any medical needs. Anyways, all right. I'm done with that before I get in too much trouble, okay? Pat,
go ahead.
Notre Dame lost wide receiver Isaiah Canyon. They replaced him this week with 3-star Logan Saldate or Saldate, if I want to be fancy, former Oregon State commit. What are your thoughts? It does replace that wide receiver that we lost in the class, depending on who you've looked at. I have seen everything from really super underrated, and I'm excited about him too. This is a 3-star guy that you had to get to fill a need. It doesn't move the needle. This is not how you close the gap. Freeman's not recruiting elitely enough, and it's all going to come crumbling down. Where do you fall on the reality of this? Somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, I'm in the middle. Obviously you don't like to lose talented players, but you got to remember not every player in a class is going to be all 5-star kids. They're just not. And you're going to have to do some scouting and get some kids.
Not here.
Exactly. I mean, you go back and you look at our history. I think Will Fuller was a 3-star, and he was one of the more productive wide receivers Notre Dame's had in a decade.
Ooh, Pat, look at that name. That's one of my favorites.
Holds my beer. That is good.
I love that. And he's got the laser beams coming through Lou's eyeballs. I love this. Where did this guy come from? I don't remember this name before. I love that.
I thought he was in here last week.
I would have remembered Holtz my beer. That's pretty damn good. I like that.
Yeah, but
Pat, look at this. Cotter feeding us the excuses, bro. There you go.
I see drunk. But I like Tex ND. I trust Stuckey. I do think Chancey Stuckey is a pretty solid recruiter. We'll see how he is as an evaluator of talent. John, I always go back to the same thing though. You got a top wide receiver in this class, right? We do have a top wide receiver in this class, don't we?
Yeah.
So I'm less worried. Where's the defensive lineman? That's what I want.
Yeah.
Notre Dame needs defensive linemen. Notre Dame needs top tier. They need guys that Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, they need guys that those schools get. Notre Dame doesn't get those guys. And until we get those guys, and here's your excuse that's not an excuse, Notre Dame ain't going to win anything until you get those guys. I'm sorry, they're not. They're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
You cannot win where Isaiah Foskey is your best defensive lineman. You need studs. As Foskey's a great player, but he's not a stud. You need studs on that defensive line. Notre Dame does not have studs on that defensive line. And so I'm here saying until you get that, I don't think Notre Dame wins anything. I think Notre Dame continues its path that it's been on with Brian Kelly as far as recruiting until Freeman starts to pull those kids. And unfortunately, he hasn't done it. So he's not impressing me with this.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know, man. You want to be open-minded. You want to give Freeman and the staff a chance and all that. But like I told you before the show, I genuinely expected overall better classes in 23 and the way 24 is shaping up. I am not saying they're terrible. I'm not saying there's no good players. I'm not overlooking CJ Carr in this class and what that could mean. I'm not doing any of that. I genuinely wanted and borderline expected Freeman to be inside the top 10. If it was 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there, I thought it was very reasonable for Notre Dame to be there, following our rules. I knew we weren't going to be in the top 3, all that. Well, I needed top 10, and I'm not seeing it last year and this year so far.
From Freeman's self-confidence alone, the way he was selling himself, it was almost Charlie Weiss-esque. I was expecting top 5. I was expecting him to turn around and say, look, we're I'm going to get the best players here because that's what we got to do. I'm going to recruit the guys that Brian, he didn't say it, but you knew he was saying it. I'm going to recruit the guys that Brian Kelly wouldn't recruit because he didn't want to put the effort in to recruit them. I'm going to put the effort in. I am the number 1 recruiter of all these players. That's what he said. And yet CJ Carr is a good player. Minchie's a good player. They've got, they're the offensive side of the ball has drastically improved in recruiting. It's still not top tier, but it's gotten better. Yeah. I think the defensive side is sliding. It's sliding. And Roger Dodger said Notre Dame is 9th with 21 commits. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's 21 commits right now. So that class is damn near full. You don't have room for anyone else. You have to push people out to bring in other players. You're not going to be, you're going to start to slide down. You're going to slide down because Notre Dame isn't going to take 30 kids. Alabama's going to take 30 kids. Clemson's going to take 30 kids.
But I think Notre Dame was targeting space for 23, 24, up to 25. But I think it depended on who they were, if they were going to extend it out that much.
Yeah.
And whatever. I was hopeful for being at least inside the top 10 last year and this year. And I don't know if that's going to happen. And that is pouring some cold water on some of the Freeman recruiting hype. And again, that gets very tricky because there are things going on beyond Freeman's control, games being played that he's not open to playing. And I don't know how you fairly judge him for trying to do things by the rules when you know we're losing some guys to people that aren't. That's just a tough dynamic. It's not at the level Notre Dame fans were hoping it would be. And I felt that all summer, Pat. There's an undertone of frustration with the recruiting over that.
And that's why I say there's more pressure on Marcus Freeman in his second year at Notre Dame than I think Brian Kelly felt, than I think Charlie Weiss felt, than I think any of those guys felt that, a Lou Holtz or anybody rolling back to maybe like an Eric Parsegan who almost won a national championship in his first season because of the recruiting dynamic is sliding. It's not picking up. And when you hired this guy on his recruiting potential, hoping that he would, because let's face it, he doesn't have the coaching chops yet.
Yep.
Hoping that the coaching chops will catch up with the recruiting, and all of a sudden the recruiting's not where the coach. Yep. It's not where we wanted it to be.
That's it. Where does that leave you? That is the existential issue that I've had. Callers, we're going to get right to you. That's the existential issue. And I did an episode, I think it was near the time when I was in Florida or whatever. It sticks out to me. One of the things I said is I was fine giving up Kelly's 40 years of experience to get this new vibe, new energy Freeman in there. But the deal was, the tacit deal that I had with him was, what I'm giving up in that experience, I'm making up with elite recruiting. And we're at least going to fill the boat with elite 4- and 5-star guys while Freeman's learning the coaching chops. He at least has these elite guys to work with. But if I'm in a position where I don't have the elite classes to work with, Andy's learning on the fly. Ooh, baby. That's just a different kind of anxiety level. It is.
So you're exactly right. And it's concerning now because like when Kirby Smart started at Georgia, he was pulling all those kids in, and that guy learned how to coach real quick. You could tell he obviously learned how to coach. You saw Nick Saban do it I think he was with Saban for almost a decade. So he was clearly coaching, learning from Saban for a long time, but he flipped the switch and he figured it out. He learned how to be a head coach on his own. It took him a couple years to do it, and now he's right there with Nick Saban as far as coaching is concerned. But while he was getting there, he was pulling in all the players he needed to pull in to make his program a championship program.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. And then I still don't know the answer to this, Pat. Let's say Notre Dame performs well in the marquee 3. Maybe they win 3 out of 3. Maybe they win 2 out of 3 with Hartman raising the ceiling of what's possible or whatever. Let's say something like that. how much does that move the needle in recruiting when it seems to be all this money in the mix? Are we getting to a level where even if you're Notre Dame and you win on the field, if you're still not able to offer all that upfront money, that only gets you so far because guys want the money more? Like, how much does that move the needle anymore? Because everybody says just win the big games and then you'll get the elite guys. We're still not going to pay them, even if we get the big wins.
So what do we always say? We always say winning will get you better recruiting, right? Winning gets better recruits.
It's got to help. I just don't know the level anymore.
It does, but winning also gets you more money to pay more players, I think.
Maybe if you were somewhere not at Notre Dame, but I don't think they will ever look at it that way. I don't think they will ever see it that way.
I think this Brady Quinn stuff is a real thing. John, you told me this. Notre Dame is in the top 10 in the last 2 years in NIL payouts, right?
Yeah.
They've been top 10 the last 2 years of NIL payouts. Okay. So they're clearly participating with it. And that is before they had this collective really organized. And it sounds like this collective is ready to roll. So they're doing it. Now they have a collective that might actually really do. But who knows? Maybe they are going to drop the bags of money. Maybe that's all that's missing. Who knows?
Yeah.
Listen, let me ask you a fair question. Let me ask you a question. How much? I know you probably don't know this, but how much money do you think Hartman made a boatload of money at your autograph signing?
You know what? That is a great question. I don't know how much. You know what? I could probably ask Mitch, who owns the autograph shop, how much he actually thought Freeman Hartman profited off that. And then also ask, where our kick is, our percentage is for putting it on. No, I'm just kidding. Happy to do it for free. Happy to be a part of it. But I don't know how much the guy made. Maybe it's like 5,000.
Dumber guy 88 has it right. No, he didn't. That's not. I mean, he made money. Sure, he probably put a couple grand in his pocket. That's nothing to sneeze at. But a couple grand versus your face on a billboard as you roll down the road through Georgia, that guy's probably making a couple $100,000. And so maybe the difference is that maybe we need to get these kids' faces on the billboards. We got to get these bigger companies come in and start spending their money.
Yeah. But I agree.
Hey, 2,000. Well, of course, I was about to say $2,000 is good for a college kid, but I forget that Hartman's like 27 years old.
Yeah. He's on food stamps.
He's a nice guy, though. He was a nice guy. He was a really nice guy. I was impressed with him.
Yeah. And so I don't know, Pat. It's just that's an underlying anxiety that has been in play here all summer. And I'm very excited to be able to get into games and actually have a distraction away from that big picture debate that we have every single day. All right, I'm going to bring up one more thing with Pat. Then we're going to open it up to the callers. We do have a bunch of callers, and I want to give you time and be better about that. Pat, I got to tell you something. Caleb Williams at USC is getting on my last nerve. All right, this kid's getting on my last nerve. I don't know what you're laughing at. Don't piss me off. You're going to make it worse. Don't let me do my thing here. Come on. He's pissing me off. All right, the whole USC thing and that arrogance and the Hollywood and the Showtime, and it's all about ego and it's all about flash and it's all about cash and it's all about sex appeal. Just everything that USC and LA and that's a weird face you made. Okay. Tone it down. And I don't like any of that. I didn't appreciate the FU Notre Dame on his hands last year. It was at their place. He was riding in with a lot of confidence. Fine, you could do it. I think it's not classy, but he did it. Now this guy this week's coming out and saying he's guaranteeing a playoff appearance by USC this year. He's booking it now. He's guaranteeing, USC fans, relax. I'm guaranteeing we're going to be in the playoff, and that's a for sure thing. Pat, this guy's pissing me off. It is weird to me. USC is cyclical. They're up, really up, and then they go down into the dumpster, and then in a decade, they come back up. But when they come back up, it's always on the shoulders of these type of guys, the prima donnas, the guys with the ego, the guys that think they're the shit, all of that. And this guy's pissing me off. All right. Now, here's a couple things I'm going to say, and then I'm going to let you respond. Okay. Here's number one. If this guy thinks he's going to come into Notre Dame Stadium next year and paint his pretty little Hollywood fingernails with F Notre Dame and do it in our house, I need a Miami 88 tunnel situation. We're not doing that. You cannot let that guy blatantly disrespect you in that manner in your house and not make an issue of it. I will hold that against Notre Dame's players for being weak if they allow that guy to do that. If you wanted to do it in LA, that's different. You are not allowed to come in here with those nails in our house and think that we're going to be okay with it. I need that to be addressed. I do not respect or like guys with this kind of arrogance and all that and if he's going to come into our place and do it, I need Notre Dame guys to step up and let him know that's not okay. That's number one. Here's number two, though, and this is a shot against Notre Dame. Number two is, if you're going to let the guy beat you and clown you and throw for 8 million yards and scramble and run around and do all this, and you're going to let him do it, you can't really say shit to the guy. Like, right? So where do you fall here? He won the Heisman. He is great. We admit he's great, but I need Notre Dame to stand up to that. But unless you're going to beat him, you don't have room to say shit. What do you think?
What would your response be if Sam Hartman came out tomorrow or in the first day of fall camp and said, we're going to the playoff?
My thought would be, if you're putting that up there, it's a big risk because you better hold it up or people are going to throw that back in your face. That's my response. I would love the confidence, but I would
there you go. You would love the confidence.
I would say you better be ready to back that up because it's a bold claim. That's what
reigning Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. You know what? His problem isn't Notre Dame. His problem is Utah. If he's talking about we're going to win the Pac-12 and go to the playoff, dude, you got to get through Utah. So his problem isn't Notre Dame. I would like for his problem to be Notre Dame. I don't need a fight in the tunnel. First of all, that can't happen anymore because they got two separate tunnels. But what I need is for a linebacker to take his effing head off.
Yep.
You know, he wants to paint his fingernails. Yeah. Somebody put a Holtz my beer said a grown man who paints his fingernails. You know, exactly, right? He wants to paint his fingernails.
Yeah,
but you know how you take care of it? You hit him. Yeah. You hit him. And you know what he doesn't do?
It's like, wait, we're going to make fun of him for painting his fingernails, but he clowned us the whole game last year, and we handed him the Heisman on a silver platter. It's like, I can't say that's not manly. You know what would have been manly? Not letting him run all over the place and beat you last year in LA would have been manly.
No, that's what I'm saying. You hit him. You just hit him. It's not, football is not hard. You got a guy like that, especially a quarterback, you hit him as hard as you can every chance you get. You just effing hit the guy.
Yeah.
I promise you, every quarterback, Tom Brady did it. Peyton Manning did it. When you get in their face and you put them on their ass, they don't play like they're Heisman winning quarterbacks anymore. They play scared. Like, who's the next guy that's going to get to me? Where's this rush coming from? Notre Dame doesn't play football like that anymore, though. That's the problem we have. This guy can go do whatever he wants. When Notre Dame wants to play football like a championship football team and hit the quarterback every single time he steps back to throw the football, then I don't care what's on his fingernails because they're going to be bloody by the time the end of the game is over. Every time somebody steps on his damn hand.
Yeah.
F that guy.
I would like Mr. Batello to give him a rude and firm welcoming into South Bend.
Down to.
Like I need him to come off the edge, light this dude up, and let him know you're not in Hollywood anymore. Like, welcome to our place. Listen, he is a terrific player. It bothers me whenever USC is on the rise or at a rise, the vibes are the same. It's the same type of feeling, the arrogance, the we're better than you, the flashiness, all of the stuff that Notre Dame isn't about. And it just rubs me the wrong way. But this guy he's bold. and he's guaranteeing a playoff run and all that, Notre Dame has something to say about it. And I need a little more resistance than we saw last year. And here's the other thing. I understand Notre Dame fans are going to go, John, they weren't calling any holds. You know, they weren't giving us any. I don't care. Make enough plays to get after that guy. We couldn't get off the field and third down, all this stuff. I'm sick of it. So I need Notre Dame to be physical. I told you what I would do, Pat. I would have posters all over the Goog and everything that week of him and his nails, quotes. I would have all that. I would have all that.
That shit should be up right now.
Yeah.
That shit should have been up at the end of that game last year. Those guys got to see that every day. That should be burned into the retina. The freshmen who are coming onto campus, the transfers who are coming onto campus, it needs to be burned in. Say, hey, you might not have been here for this, but this better burn you like it burned the rest of us.
Yeah. Yep. And so I don't know, man. It's just, and I know I take things personal. I'm still mad at I'm still mad at Michigan State in 05 for planting the flag at our 50-yard line in the overtime loss. I'm still mad at them for that. I hold grudges. I hold grudges. So was I. And
I was 3 yards. I was in the end zone on that goal line where they scored that touchdown at Michigan State game. I walked out of that game. I was the first when that guy crossed that goal line. I was like the first person out of the stadium, and I walked straight to the car. My dad, we had separate seats because it was hard to get tickets back then. He was in another section of the stadium. It took him like a half hour to get to the car, and I was already sitting in the white lot waiting.
Yep. It was rough. Yeah, actually,
I didn't see the plan. I was out of the stadium immediately.
See, remember me and my dad saw you guys before that game. We were all walking in together. I remember, and our dads got to meet, I think, for the first time. But we were walking down, and we had to kind of go down to get to the mezzanine level to go out. And right in front of us, they spiked it, and I never forgave it. I hold petty football grudges. But here, let me ask you one more thing, and then we're going to go to the callers. Okay, let me ask you this, Pat. Sometimes I get the feeling Notre Dame players are not mean enough. And what I mean by that is I think there is something to be said that these Notre Dame guys, most of them, if football doesn't work out for their career, they're going to be okay. They're going to have good Notre Dame degrees, go be a finance guy, go do something to be fine. I sense a lot more urgency other places around the country where it's football or nothing and it's do or die. Do you feel that, or am I oversensitive to that?
4 for 40, John.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you're wrong. Chris Zorich was a mean son of a bitch. He was mean. We
don't get enough of them.
We don't get that anymore. What happened to those guys? That's what happened to those guys. You watch. I watched Georgia play a lot last year. Those guys were after winning. They're winning. They're the best team in the country. Everybody knows they're the best team in the country, and they still just wanted to rip your head off on defense. Yeah, I don't get it. I talked to Dad about them teams. He goes, that 66 team, they'd rip your head off and spit down your throat just for the hell of it, and Notre Dame doesn't do that anymore. And
but it's
here's my point. It's not because Notre Dame players have a future where other kids don't. Okay, which in some cases that may be true, but most likely not. It's because the players that Notre Dame are getting now, football, probably the majority of them, because you figure how many guys on that 115 kid roster that Notre Dame has actually will go to the NFL.
Yeah.
10, 15, and maybe 7 of them will make it, So it's just Notre Dame isn't getting the skill set of players. Tommy Zibikowski was probably the meanest guy I can remember in recent memory. That dude wanted to hurt you.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that, Domer 88. William Yeager. Zibby. That punt return, man, he was looking for contact on that punt return for a touchdown. Nobody was going to take him down.
Now, do you want me? You know how I am. Do you want me to be negative on Zibby for something? You know what I'm going to say.
I know it's I could be negative about it. Yeah, go
What
ahead.
I'm going to say is, yeah, he delivered all those hard-hitting hits in the secondary. You know why he did that? Because he was a second late to get there after the ball was delivered to make the hit. I needed him to be in there a little earlier. But seriously, I love the guy. And isn't he an Arlington Heights guy? He's out from our area or something.
He's a Chicago fireman.
Yeah,
I thought he became a Chicago fireman.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he was from, those suburbs.
Oh, yeah, he was.
There. But my overall point, Pat, is I need to see Notre Dame guys that want to inflict pain and they want to hurt you, and they can turn that switch from like good Catholic Notre Dame boy, get your grades right, do all that. I need enough guys on our team where that switch could turn into kill mode. And I just need more of those guys that are cooked, cranked up to that level.
I love right now because in the chat, everybody's naming people that were mean, right? Okay.
I've seen them on the same team that's good enough to do it all a freaking once.
Everybody knows a guy. Yeah, Quentin Nelson. I mean, his rep in the NFL right now is when he pancake blocks someone, he teabags them. Quentin Nelson's a mean SOB. Yes, he is. But he was one guy on a football team of, where there's 100 kids. You go back to 93 or you go back to 88, they were all mean. Everybody was mean. Everybody wanted to hurt somebody.
Here's the other thing, though. When I'm talking about mean, that is primarily directed towards offensive line and then everything on the defense.
Everything on the defense.
I need, especially on Kyle Rudolph being mean. What does that mean? He catches a pass and then stiff arms you? That's different than Chris Zorich mean. That's different than a secondary player looking to take your head off over the middle.
Craig is probably right. You know what it was? It was the mentality of the coach. He says Lou Holtz was mean. Yep. It was the mentality of the coach. It's the mentality of the coach.
Well, but
maybe that's why for the Brian Kelly's 12 years, they were just all jagoffs.
I was going to say, you're not mean. You're not elite of football. So what? They all inherited that trait off the coach. Beautiful. You know what else happened, Pat?
I couldn't resist.
You know what else? Everybody.
I heard there's a lot of good football players, golfers on that team too.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Damn it, you jerk! I was going to say everybody on those teams is a 5 handicap golfer now.
He used to do one of his things was he would take them all golfing. But of course, I heard Nick Saban does that too. He takes them all golfing. But when you win, you can do whatever you want. No one cares.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nope, you're right. All right, Pat, you want to pull up some calls?
Go ahead.
All right, we'll pull up some calls. Here's what I got. 567-386, 480-859-618, and others. Let's ride, baby. 567, this is heaven. What's going on today? Maybe load. All right, there we go. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, John? What's going on? Domer guy here.
What's up, Domer guy? Good to hear from you. Listen, man, I got to tell you, you're here every day. You're here for every show. I really appreciate it. I'm going to ask you if you feel what I feel. The energy's ramping back up, man. People are coming out of football hibernation this week. A bunch of people. I just feel like that energy's building. Where are you at?
I'm seeing the new names coming up on the chat. I love it.
Me too, man.
I haven't felt.
Great. It's great seeing the new names, and some of them aren't new, but there's people who literally say, when the season ends, I'm off Twitter, I'm offline, I'll be back when camp starts, and then they rejoin. So we're getting all those people back. I'm just excited that we're getting back into football mentality. What do you think about anything me and Pat have discussed or anything you already had in your mind when you're online waiting?
So I'm going to go with the topic you guys were just talking about. We need a collective front seven to be mean, right? It's just all these people in the chat are naming, one or two like individual players throughout like different 3 or 5 year periods that were mean. And we've had those, but we need a collective of guys on that front seven to just be mean, nasty football players. I can remember when Weiss was first hired. You remember in his press conference when he said, we're going to have a nasty football team. He didn't deliver that. But that's what Notre Dame needs. When I heard that that's what we were going to get, in my mind, I was like, yes, that's what we need to get back to that Lou nasty.
Yep.
I'm up against you. What are you going to do when I'm right in front of you?
Turn that switch.
Mentality.
Being able to turn that switch and know today we got to give it everything we have and hit the right buttons. Turn that, crank that up, have resolve, be angry, be mad, be physical, not put up with anything. Push it till the end of that echo of that whistle. Hold that block an extra half second. When you sack a guy, lay on him for an extra half second. Like, and maybe it's me, man, because of the way I get so worked up and emotional, but I don't want our guys out of control. But I need to see a different level of intensity that you are willing to inflict pain on who you're playing.
I feel you, brother.
Did you just fall into a river? What happened? Where'd you go?
I'm here. I lost you for a second.
Okay, gotcha. You're back. You're good. Keep going. You're good.
Okay. So, I think it was on a third down play or the second down play on the Bush push game. I can't remember who got the sack, but I think it was an interior defensive lineman that got that sack. We don't have plays like that when we need them, when it counts in big games like that. We need more plays. Do you know what play I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yep.
We need more plays like that in the bigger football games. That's gonna be the difference in those games.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. But is this unique to Notre Dame? Like, a part of me feels like the nature of Notre Dame being demure, being like low-key, non-flashy Catholic vibes, like low-key. Like, is there something about Notre Dame that waters that intensity down? Or is it simply the head coach and the players and that vibe? Like, I just don't know. But there are times where I feel like, where's the resolve? Where's the anger? I know you're good students, but this is football. I need you to crack some skulls.
I don't think it has anything to do with the coach.
So you think it's just the players?
I lost you again.
You just think it's the players just don't come in with that kind of intensity, or what?
It's not the coach. You're a football player. You know, Pat just said a little bit ago, it's a violent game. You know that it's a violent game. You've been playing it your whole life. Have a little bit of grit and get nasty. Like, especially for a guy like Caleb Williams that puts FND on his fingernails. Like, you can't tell me that them kids didn't know that he had that on his fingernails last year. It just bothers the shit out of me that you have to be able to make a play or two against a guy. Just out of spite for that, right?
Yeah, it's just I don't know, man. It's just tough. I don't want to be a jerk about it. I respect the Notre Dame way and I respect the academics and all of that. It's just on Saturdays, I need our guys to turn a switch and turn on some of that Neanderthal gene from some of them. I need that. Every good football team has a subset of guys on the team that is bordering on the line of like sane or insane. Like, every great football team has a certain amount of guys that walk that line where you're like, is this guy okay? And you don't know. And he goes out there and is just a killing machine. I would die if I saw Notre Dame have a team like that in the modern era where I knew they were out to inflict pain. This is not about a game. It's about me versus you, man versus man, and I'm kicking your ass, and there's no way around it, and we're going to win this game.
Look at the Georgia defense. Do you think those guys like to inflict pain?
Yes. Yes, very much.
That's what I want. And I don't think we're ever going to get to that point. I just think it's unattainable at Notre Dame to get that type of roster put together. I think that we can maybe get to a point to where we can get 2 or 3 5-stars.
See, but that's what I was going to say, Domer guy. That's what I was going to say. It is unrealistic for us to expect Notre Dame to recruit that kind of guy in the amount you would need to create a Georgia-type roster. I don't even need that. I just need enough of them that's in the mix. Give me 3 or 4 defensive starters that are killers out there, that's even enough for me to feel like, okay, we're getting some of that mentality of we're going to lay you the hell out. And I don't know. Maybe it's just me because I get so worked up, and maybe I don't know, but I want to see a little more of that from our guys. Like, I love what a great guy Freeman is, but you also need some killer mentality here too.
I just have a tough time believing that we can't get it out of the guys we have, and we need the 5-star players to get that type of mentality. I can't buy that.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know where it comes from, but we need it. Like,
yeah.
Do you guys? What do you guys? What do you think, Pat?
No, I think you're right. I don't think you need 5-star guys to have that mentality. I do think that mentality comes from the coach. There's a difference between playing wild and trying to take somebody's head off versus playing under control, but still punishing people. Controlled anger, controlled meaning, not John's anger, a controlled anger where you're actually able to hit a guy, take him down. It's always like, it's always that cleanup shot. It's like, I got him by the waist and someone comes through and knocks his effing head off. That's what Notre Dame doesn't see. Yeah. So no, I do think it's a mentality from the coach. I don't think Notre Dame has had a coach in the last few years who has that mentality. I don't know. I'm not going to say Freeman does or doesn't. I just don't know on Freeman. I haven't seen it, but I'm not going to say after one season he doesn't have it. But no, I agree with you completely. You got to hit a guy. You got to tackle a guy. You got to want to. It's football. It's violent. You have to want to, without doing it, hurt the other guy. That's what it comes down to.
So do you think that when's the last coach do you think Notre Dame, if you think it comes from the coach, what's the last coach do you think Notre Dame had that players got that mentality from?
Oh, Lou Holtz. It's Holtz.
So
go ahead.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
But can you honestly sit here and tell me that that's why I don't think it comes from the coach, because so Davey, Weiss, Willingham, BK, now Freeman. That's 5 different coaches over a period of 30 years. So you're telling me that it all came from those guys were all misses?
Those coaches all were. Kelly had the lasting power, but all of them were all misses. That's they were as coaches. I believe players, as we saw in the chat where everybody's listing guys that they believed were mean, can't do that on their own. But a team to have that mentality, it has to be the coach. The coach has to set the bar. Holtz came in, and what was his famous speech at the Miami game? And as far as Jimmy Johnson is concerned, save his ass for me. And then those guys wanted to go out and kill everybody. That came from the coach. All right. The coach. When is the last time you've seen a pep talk like that by a coach at Notre Dame? You just don't see it. Now they all got cameras in the locker room. And I don't know, maybe the coaches are afraid to give that kind of talk because everyone's going to see it. I don't know. I didn't see Lou Holtz's save Jimmy Johnson's ass for me speech. It was relayed to us by the players in the room 20 years later.
I don't like that, by the way. That the cameras are in the locker room. I think the coaches and the players.
I don't either.
You know what? I think that should be sacred and off limits from the media, unless it's like a post-game thing, like after everything is over. I really do not like them recording the pregame speeches. No. I don't like any of that stuff. Stay out of the locker room. That should be between the team and the coach. That's it. That is a private moment and message. And once you start doing that, these coaches have to water down what they might want to say and the message they really want to give. Or maybe they do a half-ass one when they know the camera's there, and then when they walk out, they light them up. I don't like that at all. That is a sacred moment between coach and players.
No, I think I'm on board with that.
I do not like that at all. I think that should be a private moment with coach and players only.
I 100% agree. And you guys think it might be coaches, but I don't think it's coaches. I think the players have the mentality like last year with the Marshall and Stanford game. I don't think that it was the coaches' fault that they lost those games. I don't think the coaches weren't trying to tell them to catch the ball and don't drop the ball and gain positive yards on every play. I think that it's up to the players to go out there and beat Marshall and beat Stanford. It's not up to Marcus Freeman.
But it's up to Marcus Freeman. It's up to Marcus Freeman to motivate his football team.
Accountability.
Marcus Freeman is accountable for every loss. He's accountable for the players' performances. He's the head coach of the football team. It is his responsibility to motivate those players, to get them to perform to the best they can play, to put them in a position to win. And he did not do that against Marshall. He did not do that against Stanford. He almost failed at Cal, and he almost blew it against Navy. So
wait.
Freeman needs to own that.
So you think Marcus Freeman's game plan were the reasons we lost those football games, Pat?
I don't know. I don't know what exactly. I think it was a combination of a lot of things. The players not being motivated, the game plan.
That was the only thing that would have
play calls
on his behalf.
But wait. Both you guys. That is the main question I wanted to ask and get both your opinions. When Notre Dame is 17.5-point favorites at home against two terrible teams, and you do what we did, how do you get to that point? Is it messaging from the coaches? Is it players taking it for granted? Oh, we got this week. How do you end up in a position where we did that twice? And more importantly, how do you make sure it doesn't happen again this year? But what do you think caused that no-show twice? Either of you? What causes that?
Notre Dame has better players. We all know that Notre Dame has better players on every position on the whole roster than Marshall.
Right. So then how does that happen?
Is that Marcus Freeman's problem?
But Pat's arguing that it's his responsibility to make sure those guys are ready to go in that game. And ultimately, if they're not, it does fall on the head coach. But I'm also
Even if they're not ready to go, you should beat Marshall. How important is the game plan really against Marshall?
Listen,
when you're better at every position.
Now
all you have to do is push them off the ball, John.
Domer guy. Now you're getting into one of my bigger picture recruiting arguments. This all ties back to recruiting because here's my angle. Follow me here. The better players you have, and the more of those better players you have, it's what I call margin of error. Georgia always has a couple games a year where they play like crap and it's a close game halfway through against some dumb team, but they have enough talent that they're able to ride it out, grind it out, and end up winning. Notre Dame doesn't have that luxury. That's another reason elite recruiting is so important because for whatever reason, you have an off day, you have bad weather, bad luck, the brakes are beating the boys, whatever, whatever it is, you have a bigger margin of error. The more talent you have, the more elite you are, the more margin of error you have to have an off day and still win or sleepwalk and still win. Notre Dame's at a level where they don't have that flexibility. And that's an issue.
Against Marshall?
That's an it. Well, obviously
against
we
Marshall?
did. Obviously I'm saying in general, that's a benefit a team like Georgia has is they have enough talent that if they sleepwalk, they can win it anyways. We do not have that. It proved it. We didn't have that. We had way more talent lost at home in the beautiful sunshine. It pisses me off.
I put that loss strictly on the players. I don't think Marcus Freeman
Domer guy.
That's on the players. At some point in that game, the players need to rally around each other and say, "Hey, what are we doing here, boys?"
Where are your upperclassmen leaders saying what is happening right now is completely unacceptable and we're not losing this damn game? Where is that leadership amongst the players to say this isn't happening? Get your head out of your arse and play football. Where was the player leadership?
There was none.
But then who do you blame for that? Is that who do you blame for that? Don't you have captains for a reason? Where were they to say, get your head in the game? Let's go.
I want to say it was because we came off of that Ohio State game where everybody was just gung-ho about that, and we were sleepwalking through Marshall, but then Stanford happened.
Wait a second. Who was
And you have
gung-ho?
no excuse for that.
Wait. How gung-ho were any of us after we put up 10 points and lost to Ohio State? I wasn't gung-ho for
No,
nothing.
what I mean, Ohio State was a big game, and like how you have like the Boston College game in '93 after Florida State.
Now, wait.
It was similar to that.
Domer guy, you're hitting on one of my bullet points I didn't even get to yet. Other callers, we're coming right to you. 386, you're coming up next, and it's been a while. I'm excited to talk to you. You brought up a bullet point that wasn't even on my original list. A bigger picture thing. We all, fans, shut up, Pat. I see you say, shut the hell up. All right. Players, fans, coaches. This is a bullet point I do have on the list, but I didn't get to. Is that better, Pat? You're a jerk, man. You know what? As much as I love you, I equally hate you, okay? All right. Let me ask this. I do not feel like enough of us, the collective us, the Notre Dame people, cared enough about games like Marshall and Cal and Stanford last year. I was thinking about this earlier today, and I even went back to the YouTube numbers to verify it. The week of Cal, Stanford, and Marshall, all my numbers went down. It was a sleepy week. There weren't as many people wanting to talk about the game or whatever. And I hate to say it, but it almost translated over. That vibe of like, oh, it's just Cal, we'll blow them out. Oh, it's Marshall, we'll blow them out. Oh, it's Stanford, we'll blow them out. Everybody slept through the week, and the players slept through the damn game. You get 12 of these a year. 12. Half of them at home. Everyone needs to be considered a big damn deal this year. You can't take any for granted. None.
I don't know. Over the past 30-year span, we've had a lot of those Marshall games. Tulsa, UConn, Syracuse, Duke, Navy, now Marshall. I'm not going to even include Stanford in there because at least they're a Division I team. But it's just, to me, it's not the coaches. At some point, the players got to take some accountability. In whatever quarter it is, when you're getting beat by a team like that, you have to wake up and say, okay, I know we played a big game last week or we got a big game next week. Well, we have to beat this team right here in front of us first.
So Domer guy, I don't disagree.
That's my take.
I don't disagree with your take. The players do need to take accountability for it. But at the end of the day, Marcus Freeman's the guy making $6 million a year to coach his football team. So a loss sits on him. If the players don't perform, that sits on him. If the players aren't motivated, if the players aren't going out there and doing what they're supposed to do, that sits on the coach. It is his job to make sure that team is ready to play. And if those guys are not ready to play, whether it's because they're dogging ass and they're not trying hard enough because they think they're going to walk over a football team, it's still the coach's fault. That's my take. You and I,
Marcus Freeman.
Hold on. We could go back and forth on this all day. I think you and I were probably at a point of agree to disagree at this because I am never going to give a coach an excuse for a loss by saying it's the player's fault. You know why? Because Brian Kelly used to do that.
Oh, Brian Kelly was good at losing big games as well. So,
yes.
So Marcus
and
Freeman
he always threw a player under the bus when he did it. He always threw a player under the bus. Well, you can't make that fumble or you can't drop that catch.
That is true. Okay, wait.
Brian Kelly always did that.
Domer guy, he's saying we all blame Brian Kelly for not getting those guys ready. Whenever we laid an egg, 17 Miami, 19 Big House, the playout, whatever, we laid a big egg. We always pointed to Kelly. I think Pat's saying now that we have a new coach, one that we all like his personality more, now we're not allowed to just back off that and go, oh, yeah, but it's the players now. I get what Pat's saying. You got to be consistent on that debate.
Yeah, but Miami, Georgia, and Michigan isn't Marshall.
That's true, but
That's
we know showed either way.
Worse.
But we know showed in all of them. We absolutely know.
But it's way different. It's way different to lose to Miami than it is to lose to Marshall, John. You know that.
I don't
I
know. A
mean,
blowout to Miami is kind of the same as a bad loss to Marshall.
But the way it happened in 17 was disgraceful. Like that game was lost before the ball was even kicked off, and that was a mental issue. They were done before that game even started. I don't even know how to dissect that one. I don't even want to go back in time and think about it. That game was lost when somebody threw a liquor bottle at the bus and it shattered the bottle shattered on the windows. Everybody was scared is the story I heard. The team was scared before we even kicked it off. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Domer guy, I just want to say I do
can see your point, Pat.
Yeah.
I get that I get that Brian Kelly wasn't a good, and we blame it on him for not being a big game head coach. I can see that point, but I just think there's a huge difference between all the teams he lost to in his last 5 years in Marshall. That's the difference between
which again, to me it makes it worse. To me it makes it worse because he beat Marshall. He didn't lose to Marshall. He beat Marshall. He lost to Clemson. You know, that was how it worked.
He lost to Toledo.
Well, yeah, no, that's but Toledo that was that real bad year, wasn't it? No, Toledo was a long time ago. Anyways, yeah, it's like I said, you and I I think we're kind of I think the players do need to have an accountability, but I don't think the players I think the buck stops at Freeman's feet. It does. I'm sorry, it just does.
Yeah, he's the head coach. He ultimately takes all the more credit when things are good than he probably deserves, and he's going to take more heat when things are bad. That's the nature of being the head coach. Domer guy, thanks for the call, man. Anything you want to finish up on the way out? Appreciate it.
Yeah, let me say a couple more things, John. I'll try to be quick so you can get to your next caller. Okay, so my comment earlier when I said that all the previous red takeovers, the Georgia, the Nebraska, the Cincinnati, what I meant by undefeated, I don't mean that we won those games. What I'm saying is going into those games, we were all undefeated. So when you say that you think if Notre Dame is going to be 4-0, you think there's going to be a lot of green in the stadium, all those past red takeovers were when we were undefeated going into those games.
Okay, fine. But all right, Nebraska, I was pretty young. I don't remember the dynamics for Nebraska. The Georgia situation specifically was a direct reaction to what happened in 2016. We bottomed out, played horrible. It was a disgrace. That I understand. Notre Dame fans were then saying the next year, I am not paying all this money to watch you play terrible and get your ass beat against Georgia. You're going to have to prove to us you're worth me paying that money for. I get why Notre Dame fans in the beginning of 17 weren't willing to pay all that money coming after 16. That I do understand. Cincinnati, I think it was a matter of it was right down the road, and all those people knew this is like the best season we're ever going to have, and they would pay or do anything to come to Notre Dame to watch it. And I just think that's a little bit of what happened. And there's no way you could tell me Notre Dame fans did not overlook Cincinnati. Notre Dame fans did not look at that as a destination, gotta be their game, the way they do USC when they come to town or Ohio State. I know Notre Dame fans were going, oh, it's Cincinnati. That ain't a big game. And I think those dynamics were in play.
I think Notre Dame fans do that with most games. That's why we have a lot of takeovers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that could be true.
I think our fan base is a lot of wine and cheesers out there. But the last thing I'm gonna ask both you guys, and it's getting down to nitty gritty, boys. I'm excited. It's right around the corner. I can smell it in the air. And can we talk about college football as a whole just for 1 minute? I have a question for both you guys.
Go ahead.
I want to know your four college football playoff teams, John, and then I want to get yours, Pat. We're a month away. We can ask that question, right?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I wrote two of them down, and I really hate it. Maybe three. I think you're looking at Michigan as one of them, and primarily based off of them playing no real teams till November. It's not because I like them. That's just what I think happening. I think LSU and Georgia are going to be in the mix. I think Alabama is going to be in the mix. And then I'll give one more open spot to somebody. What do you got, Pat? Who do you think's in?
For-
Michigan and LSU have inside tracks, and I do not like it.
I don't think LSU playoff.
I do. I think
playoffs. LSU.
They're riding that quarterback that even Kelly can't screw up. They're riding that quarterback even Kelly can't screw up. All right. I don't like that. Michigan has an easy schedule. And the bigger question is, are they going to end up with 2 from the SEC in that 14 playoff this year?
That's the only way. That's the only way. LSU. That's the only way.
Okay.
He's got to get through Georgia. He's got to get through Georgia and Alabama. And I don't care what anyone says. Alabama is loaded and ready to go. And besides, Tommy Reese is the offensive coordinator.
100% agree, Pat. Too many people are sleeping on Nick Saban.
Yeah, I can't believe people are sleeping on Nick Saban.
Wait.
Reese.
What if I'm not sleeping on Nick Saban? I'm looking at the Notre Dame parts of Nick Saban. What if I don't believe in Buckner and Tommy Boy Genius?
Nick Saban is the GOAT, John.
Yeah, and Tommy Reese isn't.
Hey,
John, Tommy Reese isn't. Tyler Buckner isn't.
John, all I'm saying is that LSU.
You're going to see.
LSU has got Tennessee is improved. You still got Georgia. You got LSU.
Hey,
there's a road, or you got Alabama. There's a road to go through.
I am a believer in LSU's quarterback because he's developed and experienced enough that Kelly can't screw him up, and that is the engine driving that team, and that's dangerous.
Hey John, what's this quarterback going to be in next year? He's going to be in his second year as Brian Kelly's starter. What do those second-year quarterbacks do when Brian Kelly is their coach?
But they're usually younger. They're usually not guys that transfer in as upperclassmen.
Ian Book was not younger. Ian Book was not younger. Ian Book sat on the bench for a couple of years.
I'm not talking about our guy. I'm talking about the guy Kelly's working with. He didn't come in there young and then be a second-year guy under Kelly. He transferred in there with experience. To the point where Kelly can't even mess him up.
I am just ready for. Look. LSU is going to have a good football team, but Alabama and Georgia are still the SEC. Okay,
I'm worried the Notre Dameness might hold Saban back. The Notre Dameness might hold him back, baby.
Who's your 4, Pat?
I think that I think John's right. Michigan has an easy track. So they kind of have an easy way. It's going to take Notre Dame to knock out USC. And even if Notre Dame beats USC, I think USC still, if they win to Pac-12, can get in. So I think USC is in there. And I'm not going to take out Georgia until someone knocks them off. So I got Georgia in there. And so I think John's right. There's probably another SEC team, or like an Ohio State that slips in.
What do you got?
I got Bama, Georgia, SC, and Ohio State.
Yeah. I mean, that's not wild. I'm fine. I don't think anything there's wild. Yeah. But you know what, though? Every year there's usually a surprise. You never know what's going to happen, and weird things happen. We got to play the games. I don't know. But Domer guy.
That 4 teams usually a question mark.
Yeah. Hey, Domer guy, thanks for the call, man. I know how much you care about all this stuff. I really appreciate your listenership and calling in. Thank you very much.
Hey, no problem. Wear green, Irish Nation, September 23rd. Get out there.
There you go. Have a good one,
night,
man.
boys.
Thanks for calling me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Domer guy.
386, you're in the mix from sunny Florida. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's up, Irish fam?
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
It's been a while. I'm looking at the call log. It was literally St. Patrick's Day the last time we connected. Thank you for giving me a call. What's on your mind?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I just appreciate you. Just wanted to say what's up, Pat. I haven't talked to you yet. I've always been a big fan since I came across your channel, man. And dude, I'm just hyped like every other fan out there. I'm just super stoked for this season.
It's exciting. And you know what? When I really think about it, here's what I think I'm most excited about this year. Tell me if you agree with this or if you disagree. I am excited because I think Hartman on this team could open up something we have not seen as Notre Dame fans in a long time. And that would be a real offense that could do everything I need it to do. It could run the ball if it wants, when it wants, and it could throw the ball around and beat you deep or across the middle if it wants or if we need to.
That's all he has to do.
Dude, I'm telling you, Notre Dame fans have been poisoned by inappropriate quarterback play for so long. We don't even know what is possible to run an offense out there where a defense can't just sell out to stop the run, guard the tight end, and get off the field, and we're punting. I genuinely expect...
You're spot on.
Bro, that is the most exciting part of this, is to see. Look at it this way, man. Brian Kelly accomplished a lot at Notre Dame without really ever having an appropriate passing game, especially recently. You could argue Kaiser maybe opened that up a little bit, but recently we have not had a real offense that could do everything. I think we might this year. And I don't know what that makes possible. The world is open to you if you're able to run a real modern offense. We don't know what it's like. Do you agree?
No, you're spot on, because I was literally going to credit both Pat and Domer Guy. They're both right. You know, they agreed to disagree. That's fine. That's, you know, basically half and half of our entire fan base. But we haven't, like you said, we haven't had a quarterback that the team has really rallied around and truly like focused. It's just Hartman has that vibe about him where, you know, the offense is around him. Like, you know, they're hitting him up. You know, they're trying to get passes thrown to him by him. They're trying to get their routes down before the season starts. Come on.
Yeah. I just feel like there's an opportunity here for us to really open some eyes and make other teams be like, oh, crap, Notre Dame's pulling out a real offense this year. It isn't going to be so easy to shut them down. And here's the other part of it, too. Our bar for quarterback play, in my opinion, is so low. I don't believe Sam Hartman even has to be like in the Heisman discussion to make what we just went over a reality. I'm not even saying I need Hartman to come in here and be almost perfect, lights out, like invited to New York. I don't even think he has to be that.
Talent. No, look at the talent he has around him. Distribute the football. Look at what Joe Burrow did in 2019. He came into a stacked LSU offense, had some great talent around him, and distributed the football. It led him to a championship. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Obviously.
Hey, now wait a second.
As Notre Dame fans.
Here's a great question. Somebody just typed it in. I want Pat's answer and I want your answer. Who do ND fans think was the most recent terrific quarterback at Notre Dame? That's a really, really great question. And I want to know what you guys think and what the chat thinks. You guys have an opinion on that?
What are we basing this off?
How recent we're going?
I don't know. Most recent terrific quarterback.
Okay, results. Just straight results based on what they did. I have to go all the way back to Brady Quinn.
That's what the chat's saying. A lot of the chat's saying.
If you are taking it by the kid with the most potential that the head coach ruined, it's Deshaun Kaiser.
He had a big arm.
But that's what I'm talking about.
He had a big arm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's when we felt like the entire offense was rallying around the quarterback. Like, and again, back to John's point,
Joe
we have Hartman. It just seems like the offense can rally around Hartman because he's one of those caliber QBs. That's what we've waited for how damn long.
Somebody put in the chat, Joe Theismann. They're going all the way back to Joe Theismann for Heisman.
Kevin McDougal.
That's a long time ago.
Kevin McDougal.
But wait. Let me bring up a point here. Even Ian Book, who won the most regular season games of any starting Notre Dame quarterback ever, At no time did we enter a big game, and I was confident Ian Book could make all the throws needed to win this game. No, even all that he was able to accomplish, he was so physically limited, and his reads were bad, and his progressions, and he didn't look over at a wide open guy. Like, even with the guy that's won the most regular season games in history here, I didn't like, and I thought he left a lot to be desired. So this provides a real opportunity. And here's the other part of this.
I love you, Dr. John.
I am encouraged, Angelo Bertelli. Johnny Lou Jack.
Dr. John probably has his autograph.
Dr. John had classes with him. Dr. John, I love you. I love you, Dr. John. I love you, Dr. John. But Dr. John is telling Gip stories around the pool table. But listen, I'm just saying, I don't even know what I was saying anymore. This show's so fun. I lost my train of thought. Damn it. I just think
what it's about.
Listen, I just think it's a new world for Notre Dame fans if you're in an environment where you have a quarterback that could do it all. And you know he can make the reads, get the ball to the right guy with the right zip on the pass. He could run a little bit if he has to. We're just not used to this. And if that's what we get, the sky's the limit if that's what we get. We just never have had it.
The dude's coming in with a better O-line, an O-line like he's never seen before, and a running back room that he's never seen before. Just put those pieces together.
Yeah, it would be, I don't know. I just think the world is open to you if you're going to have a real offense. Now, let me ask this, though, and I want your opinion on this caller as well. What do you think Parker's offensive philosophy is going to be? You know it's in Notre Dame's DNA to want to run the ball and that to be a primary staple, and we expect a lot of that to continue. What do you think Parker's willingness will be to open it up and try and stretch the field, try and let these defenses know you're not going to be able to just press us at the line and get away with it? You'll get burned if you creep up. Like, I'm wondering that now that we're getting closer to this season, I want to know, because I don't think you bring Hartman in here and then tell him to hand the ball off 80 times. I think they're going to want that guy to throw it around. Do you agree?
Yeah, you can go ahead, Pat. You can go first.
I wasn't even listening. I was messing with someone in the chat.
Pat, here's the question.
Okay.
Don't you agree? You don't bring Hartman in here and have him just hand the ball off. I think Parker's got to be willing to let Hartman take some chances and open this offense up. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. What the hell? Why did you bring the most prolific passer in ACC history into Notre Dame? If you're gonna now, there's got to be balance. You still want to have a balanced offense. You got a stable running backs. So you're gonna run the ball, but now you have the difference now is where Pine couldn't throw the ball on a play action to hit the wide open tight end for an easy 30-yard touchdown pass. You got a guy that's going to put it on the spot. So now defenses cannot sell out to stop the run on Notre Dame. They can't do it. So you just shored up your offensive game plan by giving you the ability. Oh, they're going to sell out on the run. Guess what, boys? We're going 5 wide. Let's go. Let's play football. Catch the ball.
Them out. Yeah. That's exactly what
I'm
saying.
All right, now wait. We got some pushback here. We got some pushback here, and it looks like it's a Wake Forest logo. I don't know what that is. Is that the Wake Forest guy? $10. We got a $10 holler from Mike. Let me read this to Pat and you. Hartman had better wide receivers at Wake, better coach too. And that didn't stop him from throwing into double coverage against Clemson or melting down against Louisville. Trust me, the offense clicking isn't that easy. How would you guys respond to that?
Well, again,
who are the coaches at Wake Forest? Who cares?
Line. He has a way better offensive line to have more time to get the passes away. And not only that, if he has more time the dude was doing it with 4 guys in his face, putting their hands up, and he was still putting freaking dimes right in the breadbasket. So,
yeah.
good luck.
And the other thing is, here's the other part of this. I've had people say, John, are you concerned that Hartman could be a little turnover prone at times with his passing and all that? And does that concern you? Here's my true opinion on this. I believe the benefit Hartman's going to give this offense overall is going to far exceed any interceptions he has pressing it into coverage or whatever. I believe the overall benefit of what that guy in his 110 ACC touchdowns is going to bring us is going to far exceed any dumb throw he might make or an interception here or there. Overall, I don't even think it's close. And you could argue that that's just an indictment of a low bar I have of what a Notre Dame quarterback is. Like, the bar for me after last year was, can you make a pass over the line without it getting batted down? Like, that's kind of where the bar was after most of last year. Give me a break.
Yeah.
It ain't a high one.
Yeah.
And again, now
again.
I'm going to get mad. Will is saying you guys are acting like Hartman is Trevor Lawrence. What I'm saying is, at Notre Dame, it isn't a comparison between him and Lawrence at that elite level. I'm looking at the jump between where Notre Dame's quarterback bar was and where it is now. Hartman entering the building raises that bar a lot. A lot. And if you want to argue it's a low bar, I agree with you. It's a low bar. It's the only one we're allowed to drink at. So yeah, it's a low bar. But what this guy brings, I'm telling you, it opens everything up. And the other part is, we have potential in this wide receiver room now. Chancey Stuckey has done a hell of a job in 2 years of rebuilding that group. They're not proven.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
They're not proven, but they have a lot of potential.
We know the kid's name, and they're not a junior or senior and been in the program for 3 years. We actually know the kid's name. Imagine that.
Here's my thought. Here's my thought. My thought is that Hartman should be able to bring those wide receivers along. Whatever their natural developmental track would have been, I think it's going to be accelerated because Hartman will find them. When they're open, he's actually going to hit them. And he's not going to hit them behind him. He's going to hit them in stride so they can catch it and run after it. He's going to throw a ball where only our guy could get it or it's incomplete. He's not going to not see a guy running wide open. He's not going to hurry up his progressions faster than he has to because he's inexperienced. All of those issues we've dealt with, you shouldn't have this year. That's a damn improvement.
Yep. No, spot on. And that's the difference. That's the difference in what's the biggest, most important position in all sports? A quarterback. That's what it comes down to.
I write that every week.
That just has to distribute the football.
Every week.
Distribute the football.
Every week I write that. I write every week in the USA Today. I have some article where I write, there's no more single important individual position in sport than the quarterback. All right? They control more. They're the leader. They have the ball more. It's just that big of a deal. Crying Belly is back. He was gone earlier in the week. I was wondering where he was. I'm glad to have you back. John knows very little about college football, and you could tell. Here's my response to that. If I know that little about college football, that's even more credit to me that I built this brand into what it's been. If I'm able to fake it and make it this far, I'm doing something right. So I'll take it.
I wanted to also congratulate you, John, too, on the event you showcased and put on for our boy Sam Hartman up there in the Bend. That was really cool to see, man. Obviously living down here in Florida, been super busy, but just
Thank
super
you, man.
stoked to see you.
Listen, man.
Doing that for your business. Yeah.
Here's what I figured. Thank you very much. Here's what I figured. all these shows, I sit here and I talk about Notre Dame NIL. What are we going to do? How do we ramp this up? What could be done? And I thought this is an opportunity for me to try and help. I'm not saying I made the guy $1 million at the signing, but if I had a few more people that said, I didn't know if I was going to go pay to get this guy's autograph, John and his people are here, we're going to have a good day, I'm going to go, then at least I feel like I'm doing more than just bitching in my basement for the cause. The least I could do is show up and promote it and tell people to support our guys. So in some small way, I feel like I contributed to that, and it makes me feel like I'm not just sitting here telling everybody else what they should do, but I'm not acting on it. I'm doing my part.
Right, man.
Tried to do my part.
Yeah, that's your true passion, bro. That's why you've built the fan base you have, man. I'm just so happy for your success, and it's only up from here, man. Just like Notre Dame football, and like on to the NIL point with what you were just talking about and what you were able to do. I did a little research, as the show started. Ben Morrison's average NIL, $525K a year. Sam Hartman's $1.1 million. So Notre Dame players.
Whoa. Wait a second. Wait, where did you find those numbers? That's a lot better than what I thought. I mean, I thought it was decent, but that's a lot better than I thought. Where did you find that?
That's just the On3 numbers that they provide. Not that I'm an On3 fan. I'm not an On3 fan.
Yeah.
In like many aspects. But if you just search like a player's name and then NIL, it'll bring up their NIL profile, and it'll give you an estimation on what the player is, making.
Man, look at that.
So we got players that Notre Dame making money that they don't like.
Wait a second. Wait. You're telling me Hartman is over $1 million?
Oh yeah.
That's what On3 says.
Well, then you know what I'm saying, Pat? We're claiming half of that. We were responsible for $500K in one afternoon. We did a good job, Pat. Look at that, Pat. We're bringing all that dough into Notre Dame guys.
But it's all estimates. Like, because what's that chick, that cheerleader down at LSU? She makes like $3 million a year.
Yeah, right. Well, that's different.
Yeah, it's all estimates. It's estimated to be what they should be getting.
Yeah.
Man, that's really good. If that's what it is, I didn't realize it was that high, but that's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, that's better than what I thought. I just wish more people knew it. Make that number public. Let people know.
That's the national narrative, John. That's the national narrative.
Yeah.
Until we win a championship, man. That's what we're gonna hear. That's what we're gonna hear.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody's saying wait now. Somebody in the chat saying that's what they're worth, but not what they're actually making. That is a very that's a big difference in how we're presenting this. What you're worth versus what you're making is kind of the crux of this whole discussion.
Yeah,
those are different things.
Hold on. Nobody knows what they're making. Nobody knows what they're making. These kids don't have to tell you. They're not getting paid by these universities. They don't have to tell you what they're making. This is what their value is. He could be making $2 million. The estimated value of these kids. He could be making 1.3. He could be making $1 million. He could be making 750. He could be making 2. Nobody knows what these kids are actually making. The only one is that Olivia Dunn. Right. Somebody put it in there. That super hot ass cheerleader or gymnast out of LSU. She came out. She's like, yeah, I make $3 million a year.
But Pat, don't you agree though? If you're a good-looking young woman, it's a totally different category. I can't compare that to anything of like football. If you're a good-looking girl, you're in a different world as far as what you could do with that image. Different discussion.
We're
yeah, Pat, just stop. Just
John, I have
stop, because anywhere else we go is going to get us in trouble. Just stop. I know Pat long enough.
At the end of the day, there's kids at Notre Dame are making good money and they're living well. And that's what this really comes down to. A lot of these kids, not only just making decisions for themselves, but they might have family members that need extra money. Well, that might save their life at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, we're gonna You know, Marcus is going to recruit the kids that want to come to Notre Dame. You know, eventually he wins big games. He wins some playoff games. The more kids he's going to get. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
Easier said than done, but
Yeah, it
I
is.
also look at too, like back to the recruiting class a little bit, like some of these players, like in our 2023 class that we do have on our team and we acquired, we wouldn't have got them if Freeman was the coach or Chancey Stuckey. And
Yeah.
shit, what's been the problem in the playoff games? We can't score.
Yeah.
Well, the offensive recruiting's kind of been flipped. So
Yep.
gotta
I
look at the
think
bright side sometimes.
offensively, we're definitely trending up. There's no way around that. I just think it's that people are not open to the idea, and neither am I, that Notre Dame's offense trends up, but the defense trends down. Like, nobody wants that. We wanted the defense to stay at that good level and then have the offense catch up, and then you're cooking. Nobody wants to flip the strength and weaknesses. We need them all to be.
Who are we hearing about? We're hearing about Drake Bowen, the true freshman that could see a lot of playing time. He wouldn't even be here without Freeman. So the kids that we're looking up to and that can be great in our future are just getting discredited when they haven't even played a single snap for the program yet. I mean, let's get a grip.
Yeah, one of my biggest complaints about Notre Dame through the Kelly era and now is nothing is ever we never have a year where everything is peaking at the right time and the same time. We have had years with really good offenses that could compete nationally, but the defenses were so bad it washed it out. Then we had a long period of time with Kelly where the defense was really good, but the offense was nowhere near where you needed to be, and it's why my hair's falling out. Why the hell can't Notre Dame have everything trending up at the same damn time to compete?
This might be the year, John. Come on.
Do you have any anxieties about the defense? Connor, do you have any anxieties about the defense? Tell me the truth. Who is going to get our sacks?
No, I do.
Are we going to be able to stop the run against the marquee three? Where are the sacks coming through? 4 out of our 6 top tacklers are gone off last year's team. Over half the sack production's gone. Where are you making that up from?
Nope, you're right. I was looking at the roster.
I'm nervous about that.
Our D-line, there are some small guys. There are some small guys. We also have a couple pretty big beefy guys up there. I was looking at the roster. We got some dudes that are 280 plus. 280 plus.
I need bigger than that.
But we need to see it.
I need to know where's our Lewis Nix? Where's a guy like that clogging up the middle, being 330 damn pounds, not letting any like where's that anchor that is the focal point of that defensive front that I know isn't going to get pushed back and he's causing a big problem? I'm just a little nervous. Where is that guy?
Need as many as we can get. We really do.
Yeah, we do.
What we know what we do have this year is a competent quarterback that can make passes that we're gonna need to make. So
Yep. Nope, you're right. Hey, Connor, it's been really good to catch up with you, man. I'm glad you were able to make the time tonight. And I see you on Twitter all the time posting Notre Dame stuff. Love your energy, my friend. Appreciate the call.
Yeah, man. Y'all have a great night. Y'all stay safe. I'm going to try to make it up to at least one home game this year. So we'll stay in contact. Notre Dame Nation, y'all stay blessed. We're coming for a natty this year. Man, I want to say, F the haters, man. It's Endy or nothing all day.
There you go, man. Thanks, Connor. Have a good weekend, my friend. You take care now. Oh, what a good guy. 480. What do you know?
Hey, what's up, John? This is Greg, man.
What's going on, man? Hey, it's been a while since I heard from you. My computer system says late April. Where you been?
Man, first of all, it's hot as hell out here in Arizona, man. It's 110 degrees out here, and it's hot in Satan's toenails.
So what did
I've
it?
been
What
out
did it?
here
What did
trying to
it do?
figure-
Burn your cell phone connection or what? Because of the sun? Come on.
Yeah, man. It burned my cell phone connection and said it's time for you to disconnect from John screaming in your ear every damn week.
There you go. There you go. But
Yeah.
hey, listen though, I miss you for real. I do. I miss your calls. What do you? Where are you at now? We're less than a week away from Notre Dame opening camp, and I would love to know your big picture thoughts about the season. What do you think?
Well, first of all, man, I've been seeing, I've been watching your videos and tuning into some other shows and everything, just trying to get perspective on the recruiting and where everything is going with this NBC contract stuff, man. And, I think that right now, I know that it's a definite worry for us in certain positions, especially for me, safety is one of my biggest concerns right now.
That's fair.
Team. I think that, we got a lot of guys in the front seven that, there's not like the star, but I have a feeling, man, I'm going to be a little bit optimistic and say that this year, because we don't have that guy that's like the premier star, like it's going to be a collective effort up front. I really do believe, man, we're going to see a lot more production from this group than we did last year. And the reason being is because I just feel like last year, everybody's expectation was about Foskey, and all this kind of stuff. And so it kind of took the attention away from the other guys that were there. And I think also being that it was the first year into the defense with Al Golden and Freeman's first year coaching, is just like a whole bunch of just trying to understand how this thing is going to flow. But now, Freeman's in year 2, things are going to slow down for him. Like now he's not going to be scrambling around trying to figure out where he's going to be at practice. He's actually going to know like where he wants to be, because things are going to slow down for him, so he can pay more attention to certain things and bring more input and detail and things that he didn't do last year during this time.
Yeah.
So
hey,
I think that's
listen.
going to be the big difference.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up. I wrote an article this morning. It hasn't posted yet. But one of the main points of this article was me examining, you always hear about week 1 to week 2, the improvement teams make when they gel, and you have the week 1, figure it out. And then by week 2, and they always expect teams to be sharper from week 1 to week 2. I was trying to examine what can we expect reasonably from Freeman year 1 to year 2. Do you know what a whirlwind it had to be last year? All of the things thrown on that guy all at once. First time head coach, being younger than I am. It's at Notre Dame. You're in the spotlight. The staff is changing. The players are changing. There's all this going on. And then your quarterback gets hurt. You're dealing with that all year. I don't know how to calculate what I can expect an improvement from Marcus year 1 to year 2, either on game day decisions or behind the scenes, where to structure his time, what to focus on more in practice, how to get these guys in the right mind space. What do you think about that? I don't even know how to gauge it other than wins. How do you expect Freeman to adapt year 1 to year 2?
Well, this is how I'm gauging it, John. I just feel like everything that was thrown at him from the inception of him becoming head coach, for all the hiccups of the Marshall game, the Stanford game, quarterback getting hurt, Buckner going out and having to depend on time, to win games for him, to keep some type of leverage for the season. And then, the way things kind of ended, with the bowl win and all that, even though we lost a couple of recruiting battles and everything, I think, man, I just feel like everything that he had to endure is helping him to become a more prolific coach as he continues in this journey coaching as a head coach in Notre Dame, because I don't know, like, what better way to learn, like, on the job than what Freeman went through his first year,
Yeah.
And I know you got the doubters, you got the, people that are going to condemn and give up and say he's nothing, he can't coach, he's over his head, everything. But you know, man, it's like he has the it factor, in my opinion. And I feel like if he was at another Power 5 program where he didn't have certain restrictions and administration on his back saying can't do that, man, these guys that we lost that didn't come to Notre Dame would have easily been on the roster wherever else he would have been coaching, because he just has the influence and the it factor that, you know, even the kids that don't go, that did not come to Notre Dame, you hear around the recruiting circles that these kids love Freeman.
Yep.
Even if they don't come to Notre Dame, they're like, man, I love Coach Freeman.
Yep.
You know, so the idea that these 5-star guys don't want to come to Notre Dame, I think it's just a little bit more, to me, more of the things that are out of his control, unfortunately.
Yeah.
From the higher ups. But then also, man.
But that's tough, man. But that's very, very tough, because when I say what you just said on my shows or in my articles, then I get a bunch of responses saying, John, you were making excuses for Freeman. Ultimately, he either lands the elite guys or he doesn't. And the reason doesn't matter why. And then I say, but if they're offering pay for play and Freeman can't, I don't know how you want him to overcome that. But then I have people saying, John, you're just making excuses.
You know my rebuttal to that, though?
I would love it. I might use it if it's good.
For all the ones that are negative about Freeman and saying, you know, you making excuses for him, this and another, name one recruit right now in the 4 or 5-star group that he's recruited in the last 2 cycles that it had, and just put it hypothetically speaking, if Freeman was not even at Notre Dame at all, name one 4 or 5-star recruit that we've gotten in the last 2 cycles that would be at Notre Dame right now under Kelly. Please, name one.
Yeah.
Name one.
But that's a fair...
Because there's not one. These kids, man, if it wasn't for this guy having the influence and being able to sell the program, sell the school and everything, the belief that Notre Dame can change their life, these kids would be suiting up at Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, all these other programs, and would not be nowhere near South Bend. So the bottom line, and here's another thing, man. We still got to remember, we're still dealing with Kelly's guys, okay? Not all of his guys are not out yet. I'm going to judge Freeman for real once he has all his recruiting classes on the field and not an inkling of Kelly.
But listen, again, I'm going to tell you, just like with the recruiting discussion, I have been down that path. And when I say, you got to realize he's dealing with a lot of Kelly's stuff that wasn't good enough. Again, people are saying that's excuses, John. Freeman was handed a 10 or 11 win team last year, and he lost 4 games, and that's all on him. You can't blame Kelly. You can't blame the roster. It was all on him. So I can't win.
I'm going to go with Domer. I'm going to go with what Domer guy said. At some point, man, the players need to be accountable for their own team. This is their team. Freeman can't suit up and get on the field for these guys. They have to want it. Okay, that's where it comes down to having that attitude of being a winner. Like you guys were talking about earlier about being nasty, having that just nasty, mean attitude. Like, you're not coming in my house taking anything from me. That you know, Freeman's the coach and he's the leader, and you know everything that basically happens is going to resemble on him, good or bad. But at the end of the day, that like winning attitude, that killer instinct, you can't really teach that all the time. Some of that just has to come from within. You just have to have it. And that's where these players have to take ownership and say, this is our team. And like you guys said, where was the leaders last year? We didn't have any at first. There was, because from what the rumors were circling around, that there was some friction in the locker room with some of the leaders, with some of the other players and the coaches. So there was just a mixture of, you got friction in the locker room from the leadership, you know, and other players, because they're so used to, well, we did it when Kelly was here. This is what we did. and stuff like that. And listen, man, I'm a former collegiate athlete. Okay, I played basketball, I played football, ran track, I've done all that. So I understand locker room stuff. I know what happens when you bring a new coach in and people start resembling back to, well, man, when Coach John Doe was here, we did it this way. But then the coach said, well, I don't care what John Doe did. This is the way we're going to do it. And then you got these attitudes and all that. When you got a mixture of all that on the team, that can cause some confusion. And it gets people to check out and not buy in all the way. I think that was some of the problem at the beginning of the season. You didn't have everybody buying in to what Freeman was trying to instill, and I think it reflected on the field. And I think that at some point throughout the season last year, I think after the Stanford game is when it was like the come to Jesus reality check that whatever he said, whatever happened from that point forward, I believe that most of the players began to really buy in to what the coaches were trying to tell them. And I think this year it's even better because I think that now, they understand what the expectations are. Like you said last year when Blake Fisher couldn't finish a practice. He said, hey, you got to come prepared. You got to come ready to go. I'm not cutting breaks. I'm not slowing down. Like, this is the level and the speed that we're going to move in practice. So these guys understand what the level of expectation is. We're going to compete. It's going to be full-fledged, full speed the whole time. And I don't think that, the previous regime was really instilling that all the time. And so now I think the level of expectation has risen where these guys understand what's required of them. And I think that we're going to see a change in the resemblance of the leadership on the field. Man, thank God for Sam Hartman being at Notre Dame because we need that type of leadership at the quarterback.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this. It's been a while. It's been late April on my computer system since we connected. Let me ask you this. And I struggle to calculate this. How much more potential is on Notre Dame this year with Sam Hartman in charge of that offense? Like in terms of leadership, in the locker room leadership, a guy that has that 6th-year experience and the leadership factor, but also what he can open up with this offense in a way we haven't seen in a long time, throwing the ball around. Just how much more plus side does he bring? How much?
Man, he brings a huge upside. And here's where he brings the biggest upside that I haven't seen. Like people talk about that killer instinct. Hartman has that, man. You can just tell. You can just look at certain guys and tell, like they just got it. Like they're not afraid of a challenge. They're not afraid of the moment. And I think that's what Hartman is, man. He's been thrown at everything you can possibly think of in college football for the most part in terms of defenses, players, whatever, personnel, whatever. Like the dude has seen it all in 6 years. So it's not a lot that you really can kind of rattle him in terms of the environment. I think that he's going to be prepared for that. And I believe that in the moments that, that where we need that extra play, like how, last year when Ohio State had those moments where it was like we had them at 3rd and 7 or whatever, and Stroud was able to make that play, that extra little play to get them to extend the drive.
Yep.
That's what we have now. We have that advantage now. We have a guy that can extend the play, make something out of nothing, extend the play and build that confidence with the players around him because, man, these receivers that we have, like, you can tell they are excited, man, to play for this guy. Because, number one, the dude can throw the freaking ball, like, out of his world, man. So these guys are excited to know, like, I'm going to get some touches. Last year, how many times, did these guys really get to see a lot of the football? So now they know they got a guy that's going to really get the ball out there to them, which is going to put the pressure more on Stuckey to get these guys prepared. We're really going to see, I believe, this year what Stuckey really is about as regarding to the receivers because you got a quarterback now that can throw the ball. So now it's about how are you preparing these receivers? Are they really physical? Are they going to be able to fight for those 50-50 balls? Are we going to get off the press coverage? When they're bumping them at 5 yards or whatever, are you going to get these guys prepared for that stuff? Because now there's really no excuse of saying, well, we don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball. We got somebody that can throw, 50, 60 yards down the field. We got to have these receivers prepared. But I think also, man, Sam Hartman when he was at Wake Forest, he basically had to carry the team, not just for the offense, but even the defense too, because the defense wasn't that good. Well, now you're dealing with an upside even on the defense that he didn't have at Wake Forest. So now I feel like the margin of error for maybe a player so maybe can help him to some degree, because now you have a defense that has a better upside than what he had at Wake Forest. And you got a better balance attack with a better offensive line and a huge running back stable. So like I said, man, I think regarding the players and all that, with what Hartman has at his dispense, it's going to be a huge upside, and I believe we're going to see it week 0 when we play Navy. I believe that's when we're going to really see, like, this guy is going to show us, okay, the differential of what happens when you have a real quarterback and not somebody batting balls behind, offensive line because he can't see over the line.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to see a difference.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm excited about, man.
Yeah,
and I think
I just don't know. I don't know how to gauge how much of an improvement the overall operation is going to gain just from having Hartman there. I know there's an effect. I just don't know how much it's going to be. Let me ask you this. Do you have any anxiety about the defense, about holding up against the run, against the marquee 3, or where the sack production is going to come from out of the front 7? Any worries about the safety play on the back end? Like, where are you at on the defensive side of things?
Definitely safety, man. I mean, one thing I would say is, like, Xavier Watson's a dude, man. I think Xavier is going to go to another level this year, but he's going to need someone else to come up with him. And that's
who it might be? It might be the Rhode Island transfer. I'm not kidding you. The depth back there.
Yeah, it might be him, man.
The depth, the depth is such back there that I'm thinking he might be able to come right in from Rhode Island and be reliable back there. Like I don't know. And the other thing I got to admit is, when we discuss safeties now, I get really worked up because the Brandon Illman thing bothers me and the Peyton Bowen thing bothers me.
Yeah.
And if both those guys followed through and ended up in this class, I wouldn't have the same kind of anxiety I do about the safety play. But
see, that's where it comes down to. I think I'm going to tell you where the difference might really help us. Where it was much of an issue last year, I think the linebacker crew is going to take a step forward, man. And here's why I say that.
Ooh, baby. That's a hot topic. You got to realize that's a hot topic. Half the media is going to tell you they're all great, and the other half are going to tell you play the young guys. Notre Dame fans don't agree on anything.
That's what I'm saying. Freeman said he was going to start playing. We were going to implement more young guys. I got to see it this year, man. No more of this. Because you've been around 4 or 5 years, we're going to play you even though you stink. No, if you are bad, if Maris is bad, pull his ass out of the damn field and put the young guy in that can actually bring a bit more energy and more balance in terms of assignment. Because Maris last year was just, I don't know what the hell he was doing, man. He was all over the place, So I think where they're going to take a step forward is you got these young dogs now, Drake Bowen and all these guys that are there now, and they're hungry, man. They're not there to just, sit around and watch and just hope that, they get special teams play. They want to be on the field. Remember, I told you earlier, the last time we talked, I said, these guys are hungry. They're not coming to sit on nobody's bench. They coming to play. They coming to compete. And this is what I believe Notre Dame has missed in terms of the type of players that have been there. We haven't had guys that have come in and say, look, I'm not here to be all buddy, lovey-dovey. I'm coming here to compete because I want to play. And I feel like we got some of these young guys now that have that attitude. Like they remember the whole thing with that 23 class was, we're going to be the ones going to change the program. We're going to be the ones who can do that. Well, now they're there. And from what I'm hearing, they are playing really damn good right now. Especially the Osbury kid. I've been hearing great things about him, man. So, like I said, it's going to be hard to keep some of these guys off the field. So what I believe is these veterans, they're going to have to step up. They're going to be on their toes because they know that if they mess up, they might not see the field much this year. these young guys might get opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, so it might push them to be more assignment driven and actually make plays, which can then help the back end. Because if the linebackers do their job, the front seven, like I said, if it's a collective effort, the front seven is know what they need to do, man, to at least bring some type of disruption. It will help the secondary because it's not the strongest group this year, but it can help if the linebackers and the defensive linemen do what they need to do, man, to bring some disruption, get some, you know, some tackles after loss, whatever, man, like getting sacked, whatever, man. Like, we need to see more disruption this year. And I'm telling you, man, when we play USC, I don't want to see that kid running around, you know, juking, doing the C-walk all over the field and laughing in our face. No more of that this year, man. We need to put that dude, like, make him eat the damn grass. Straight up. Like, this, they got to, and they need to remember that because most of these guys were out there last year. Some of these guys were out there and they experienced that. They experienced the humiliation. So that ought to be in their minds when they play this guy this year. Like, we're not gonna let this dude come to our stadium and clown us like he did last year.
Yeah.
Like I said, it comes back to accountability, man. These players have to take ownership of their team. This is their team. They came to Notre Dame because they believe that they can compete with anybody in college football. Well, take ownership of that. If you can play up to the par of the Power 5 Alabamas and Ohio States and all that, show that on the field. Prove that you deserve to be here. And that's what we have to see this year. And I believe that having a guy like Hartman is going to help create more confidence for some of these other players to be a little bit more vocal and more confident, especially if they get a couple of good plays. It's just going to be like a ripple effect, man. And when the offense is playing like that, I believe it's going to help the defense to see, like, we got a guy that can score. So it's going to make the defense want to go out there and be disruptive, get the ball back because they see the confidence level that the quarterback has. You know, so that's my whole thing about that, man. I think that we'll see a different change in terms of the leadership on the field, which is going to help transition to better plays, better production on both sides of the ball. But, man, no more safety blitzes from Al Golden. No more.
Yeah.
I don't want to see another damn safety blitz.
Yeah, that needs to be worked on. Needs to be worked on.
That needs to be scrapped.
Yeah.
It needs to be scrapped and thrown in the damn trash because, man, I watched the Ohio State game when we played them last year. I just think to myself, if we could have just contained them and got to the fourth quarter, I just really believe, man, it might have been. I'm not saying I don't know what it really would have been, even though we couldn't get the ball down for nothing. But I just feel like, man, we maybe would have had a slim of a shot in the fourth quarter. But that killed everything once he did that safety blitz, man, and they scored. So
yeah,
no more of that stuff, man. Because we don't. Number one, we don't have the guy. I don't believe we have the guys back there to do that kind of stuff. And then number two, it was just dumb, man. Like, it was at the wrong moment in the game.
Yeah.
So it needs to be scrapped, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it went wrong, it really burned us. Like, it didn't just go kind of wrong. Like, it was
times, man.
Yeah, it was chunk big plays. Like, it burned us big time. It burned us big time.
Big time.
Yeah, it did. Hey, man.
Yeah, I think
listen, it was really good. It was really good reconnecting with you, man. It's been since late April. It's good to have you back in the mix. Promise me you'll give me a call again when we get closer to the season, okay?
Absolutely, man. One more thing, though, man.
Sure.
I just want to say this quick thing. I think that with in regards to Parker, having Hartman is going to help him be more confident to call certain plays. That's going to, like, help build his confidence as a coordinator. Because if we were going into this season with Pine or something like that, I don't think that he would be as confident to call certain plays and take chances. But I think that it's going to help Parker to get a little bit more comfortable and lax into the type of offense that he wants to have, having a guy like Hartman. So that's my point on that as well.
Yep. Nope. Really good points, my friend. Hey, thanks for circling back with me. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Hey, no problem. You too, man.
Take care. Have a good one. All right, one more thing, and then we'll get to a couple more calls. We got 3 more, and that'll be it. Pat.
Go back to it.
Yeah. I forgot where it was, too far for me to scroll, but somebody posted a comment saying, I'm not going to be able to judge Freeman until all of the starters on the field are his, and we have a clean slate.
Correct.
That's when you could start judging Freeman. And Pat, you want to push back on that? Go ahead.
Every coach after Newt Rockne who has won a national championship in Notre Dame has done it in year 3. They've done it in year 3. They did it with the previous guy's players. So to say that is being disingenuous of what you're supposed to do at Notre Dame. We have a standard. You win a national championship in year 3. That's how you do it. It takes 3 years. Lou Holtz is on record saying if you can't win a national champion in 3 years, you don't belong there. You're not going to win. Now, college football has changed. I'm going to admit that college football has changed. So it may take longer than 3 years. But you do it. You as the head coach of a football team. Now, I'm not just saying Notre Dame, but as head coach of a football team, you owe it to everybody on there to win now. You win now. And Notre Dame needs to win now. And I'm not saying now as in this year, but I'm saying Notre Dame needs to win by year 3. That's the standard. Sorry, that's the standard. You're going to do it with the last guy's players. Your player, it's a mix. Year three, that's a mix. It's a mix. You got fifth year, you got seniors, you got juniors. It's a mix.
Historically, that's the fact. And you addressed my pushback to it, which would have been, how do you account for the modern changes in the game that have changed recruiting and how all this goes and free agency and you can transfer with no penalty, all that? I was going to ask, is there any leeway for, that?
Yeah, no. Well, see, that's the whole thing now. Look what Kelly's doing at LSU. Look what the USC is doing. Look what Colorado is doing with the primetime. It is it's college football is win now.
You see what Joe put year 3 and decade 3.
I know.
30 damn years.
Joe, what the hell's going on?
It's been a long time. 30 years.
Joe, I see a comment that says you unsubscribe, but then you're I don't know, man. What's going on? Call Joe, dial. Give John your area code, dial the phone. Let's go. Let's hear from you.
The last time he called, he was mad and he lit up some people. And I remember what he was saying, and he lit up some people. That's all I remember is the last time he called, he was nailing some of the trolls and he was really going at him.
Well, Joe, you never take. So here's the thing. Somebody said it earlier. Their favorite part about Saturday night shows is, I think it was Drunk Figo said it. Their favorite part of Saturday night shows is me getting lit up. I think you guys are funny. Like when you guys light me up, it's hysterical. I laugh. I don't take it personal. If I took anything somebody on the internet said about me personal, what's the point of life in general? So
yeah. But all right,
we're all here to have fun. We're all here to have fun.
Do my eyes deceive me? He put out my post. Man, you guys, listen, I'm not trying to make excuses like I do for Freeman that people tell me. Sometimes it's no offense, but I can't keep up with my notes, the things I want to say, making sure everything looks right on the video, making sure I acknowledge the donations, managing the call-in software and the queue and how many people are waiting and trying to move that along and looking at the history of the callers and my notes. Like, I hope nobody takes it personal. I just can't keep up with everything all the time to be able to post the people that have a bigger history with me than others. Like, I'm sorry, but I just can't keep up with all of that at the same. I'm not smart enough to be able to manage the stream, the call-in, the conversation, my notes, the queue, the comments, the donations. It's just a lot.
This is very true. Up, John is not very smart.
Accurate.
But I will say I'm in the back-end software, so I see all the stuff he's doing. I don't even have access to the phone stuff. That's all on him. There is so much going on. There's messages between him and I. We're communicating about questions and stuff. And then there's the chat and the comments and trying, I'll flag stuff for John and say, hey, look at this one. This is a good one. But and then just like it just happened now, he's like, yeah, dude, that was 20 minutes ago. There's no way I'm going to be able to find that. So there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of you in here. There's 100 people in here commenting. We love it. You guys are great. You guys are funny. Keep it going. And yeah, he tries his best. He really does. John, like I said, but John's not smart. So
you're a jerk, Pat. It's just hard to navigate. It's just hard to navigate all that. It is. But Joe Long is a regular. Here's what I like about
regular.
Joe.
Yeah. Well, that's why I flagged it for you, because I said, hey, what's Joe talking about?
But here's the thing. Joe's here on all those morning shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is watching on, and I value that morning crew, the people that are loyal to that morning window, and a regular caller on that window. But when we get a lot going on, I am admitting I'm not smart enough to be able to navigate 10 things all at once. Like I got to focus on one thing and then it's out of my brain. Well, and the other thing is too, there's a lot of shows where I give people 15 minutes in the beginning of the show when they're calling.
Yes.
Because on the call-in line, there's only 2 people on the line waiting. And then I figure I can space it out more and give them more time. But then when I'm doing that an hour later, there will be a 2-minute window where 10 more people call.
Yes.
Suddenly now I have a dozen people waiting, and then I'm not able to get to them all. Or if I do, I got to rush them. And they're like, bro, my point was better than the guy you gave 20 minutes to. But when the 20-minute guy called, there was only one other guy waiting, not 20. It's not a perfect science. It's not a perfect science.
Exactly.
And I don't have like a real radio show.
We talked about this. Right.
A real radio show as an audio producer, a call-in screener, somebody navigating social media for you. I don't have all that.
You do a show that is so unique, especially in the space that you operate in. Nobody else does this. The guy, we'll call it Up the Dial. He does his mailbag or whatever. And you got to put MB in. He won't read unless you put MB in to start the comment. And it's you are giving a voice to Notre Dame fans. You're giving them the opportunity to listen. So I always say, because when John will start a show, he'll know how I operate. When John will start a show, I will just call in and I'll put it on my phone and I'll be listening. But sometimes I'll message him and say, hey, listen, don't take my call. I just want you to see I'm in here. I want to hear what some other people say. And I'll be like, and then I'll message him and say, I want to yell about what this guy just said. And sometimes I won't call in, but I call in right away. If I want to get on, I want to talk about something, I call right away as soon as the show starts. And sometimes I don't even have something to talk about. I'm just going to wait and listen to other people talking. So
do you see this, Pat? I mean, the ND stroke guy, is that more like he's having a stroke, or John is a stroke?
I think it's having a stroke, but you are.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not even going to deny that. Like, trust me, I know my limitations. I'm definitely a stroke, but I want to be one.
And I want to say the chat, so you have to understand how difficult this is for John. No, Heart Foundation, don't go there. You have to understand how difficult this is for John. It's like he's trying to give the attention to the person who's calling in and make sure he's following along with the conversation so he can be attentive and participate in the conversation. But he's also trying to follow the chat and see what you guys are talking about. Don't worry about it, Heart Foundation. He's trying to follow the chat and see what you guys are talking about, making sure he's picking up on comments and pulling the relative comments in like he just did for Jacob Brown. And there's a lot going on, and he's also trying to keep me engaged. So you've heard a couple times from me tonight where I'm like, what did you just say? Because I get so drilled in on the chat because I know John's listening to the caller. I get drilled in on the chat and interacting with you guys that I stop listening to the callers. And I mean, no disrespect to the callers. It's just there's so many functions happening behind the scenes here. So, and you guys are killing it in the chat tonight. I mean, a lot of times you just see me start laughing and it's just like, John's looking at me.
I feel bad.
John messaged me like, what the hell are you laughing at? And I'm just like, you got to see this.
I don't have the mental capacity to be able to focus on all of it at once. I just don't. All right. 484. You're going to give me some more, and you're going to talk to Pat while John takes a 1 minute break.
Damn it.
Pat, you
right,
do
go
this,
ahead.
and then I'll be back. 484, give me 1 minute. Talk to Pat. I'll be back.
Johnny, I can't hear him.
Huh?
I can't hear him.
Bro, are you under a lake? You sound like you're underwater. All right, that guy, something happened to him. We're going to go to 812. We're talking
484, call back. 484, call back.
Call back. You sounded like you were underwater drowning. Hello?
Mark.
Hello.
There you go. Talk
What
to
do we got?
Nicky Dean. Happy
Oh,
to be
it's Nick
seeing you
Dean.
from the
Nick
tailgate,
Dean.
from
Yeah,
the food bowl
I met
tailgate.
Nick
Nick,
Dean.
talk to Pat. I'll be back in 1 minute.
How you going? How you doing, Nick?
Hey, Pat, how you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. What are you calling in? What's on your mind? Nick, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Okay, what's on your mind? What's going on?
Where we're at. Do you think Notre Dame's offense this year is going to be prolific? I think we're going to have a really good running game and a really good pass game.
I mean,
Just my opinion.
Nick, define prolific, because prolific makes me think of like some of them Oregon offenses when Chip Kelly was there, where they were scoring 50 points a game. Do I think Notre Dame is going to be that prolific? No. Do I think Notre Dame could score 35 points a game? Yes. Do I think Notre Dame has a top offensive? Go ahead.
I'm thinking 42. 42. Maybe not
That's
50, but 42.
I mean, 42, that's a high number. I mean, that means you're putting up you're near 60 against Navy. You're near 60. That means you're gonna score 180 points in the first 3 weeks of the season. And I'm not saying that's not possible, but that's not what Notre Dame does. That's just not what they do. That's just never been their thing. They do it, but they've scored that many points in a game, in a season, but they don't do it 3 weeks in a row. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like I said, I think 35 points a game would be a prolific offense for Notre Dame. And 35 points a game will put. Go ahead, Nick.
You and I have had significant discussions in the last
in person
year and a half.
Hey, Pat, hold on.
Yeah.
Pat,
What?
hold on. Guess who's on the line next?
There's that.
Pat,
Who's on the line next?
Joe Long.
Oh, good, Joe.
I know that's his number. 707. I got you next. Go ahead,
All right.
Nick.
All right, Nick, go ahead.
Thank you for the donation tonight. I appreciate it very much, my friend.
Hey, me and Pat are talking about Notre Dame's offense tonight.
What about it?
I'm thinking that we should score more than 40 points a game this year.
Listen, man, when I think about this, I had about 38 being where I wanted that average to be for the year, give or take. I had 38 in mind. I just don't know how much I could raise the estimate just because Hartman's in the building. I am unclear on that. I don't know.
You were at the blue and gold game, right?
I certainly was, and we had a lot of fun that day.
You and I had it. We cracked a couple lids before the blue and gold game.
We did.
And we saw what Hartman did with the lower caliber receivers on Notre Dame's football team in the blue and gold game.
And it was split teams. Nick, it was split teams. He didn't even have all the best offensive linemen and the best receivers. He did that with split teams.
He had Rocco Spindler at a guard position. He had
Hello?
Yes.
Yep,
yes,
I got you.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with you.
And the other thing, Nick, is if you get that offensive improvement, it relieves a lot of pressure off of that defense. They will be out there for less. They'll be able to get more Gatorade in them on the sideline. Like, if the Notre Dame offense is real world, it helps everything.
Oh my gosh, John, you and I are on the same freaking page.
I'm telling you, if that offense takes a couple steps forward, it helps everything. If you have concerns about the defense being able to get pressure and get off the field and get after the quarterback and stop the run, and we had red zone issues last year, we had getting off the field on 3rd and long issues last year, all of that stuff. Nothing can go wrong with the defense if the offense is out there. If they're scoring more points, it helps. And even if they're not scoring points, if they're not going 3 and out, eating up more time, every minute that defense is on the sideline, it helps that defense.
Johnny.
I'm here. I'm here.
You are my boy.
Well, I appreciate that.
Expressed what I have said for the last 5 years.
That's a long time to be waiting for a real offense. That's a long time to be waiting for a real offense, brother.
Thank you.
Too long.
Thank you.
Too long.
Thank you.
It'll be beautiful. Now, wait. Now, Nick, let me ask you this.
Love you, bro.
Let me ask you this, Nick. That wide receiver,
love Pat too.
That wide receiver group, they're exciting and there's a lot of potential, but they're fairly unproven as a unit. How confident are you? How confident are you that Hartman's going to be able to bring those guys along, throw them open? When they do make a good move and they get open, he's actually going to be able to see them and put the ball there with the right zip and the right loft and lead them in stride. It's going to make a big difference, in my opinion. Am I over-crediting this?
I have a whole lot more confidence that Hartman can do that than I ever had in Buckner or
Pine.
Oh my God!
But dude,
what was his name?
Nick, you're getting
what was his name last year?
Pine, Drew Pine. You're getting 110.
Pine.
You're getting 110 touchdowns in the ACC. The guy is a sixth.
Exactly.
He's a sixth-year player that has seen it all, been through it all. No situation's going to overwhelm him. And you can't.
He's got three running backs that he can hand the ball off to on first down, second down, and even third down, and get a first down.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be the tide that raises all ships this year. And that's another reason I'm saying keeping Hartman upright all year is the number one priority of all this. Nothing else matters. If you don't do that, you're in the same position as last year, but just with different names. And that's another reason I love the tackles. The Twin Towers of tackle terror. I absolutely love it. I love those guys protecting Hartman on the edges.
Hey, Nick.
I love the Twin Towers too, but I want Rocco Spindler in there somewhere. Have you ever seen that dude?
He's going to get a chance. He's going to get a chance. Pat, that's a hell of a farmer's camp.
He's enormous. He's 317 pounds at a guard.
Yeah.
Get him in there.
It's very, very encouraging. Nick, let me ask you this. As you look at this year overall, what are you most confident about and what gives you the most anxiety? I'd love to hear that from you. What do you think you feel really good about and what gives you some anxiety at night?
Okay. I am most confident that we are going to beat Ohio State. We're going to beat Clemson.
That's hot, baby.
I
That's hot.
believe
That's hot.
that we're going to go at least 11-1.
Ooh, at least
That
that's
means you-
bold. That's
So you're-
bold, baby.
So you have us losing to
11-1.
USC.
Yeah.
And
So,
I think
ooh, man, that's
we
great.
can go undefeated this year. 14-0. Natty.
Now,
That's what I'm saying.
now, okay, Nick, is that what you feel in your heart or in your brain or both?
In my brain.
That is a
In my
different.
brain.
You're a Notre Dame guy, and I met you and your lovely wife, and I know how much you love Notre Dame. That's why I'm asking. Is that what your heart
Dude,
wants
I've been
to
a
tell
Notre
me?
Dame fan.
Is that what your heart
I've been
wants
a
to
Notre
tell
Dame
me
fan.
or your brain?
I've been a Notre Dame fan since 1971. That's when I was born. Okay? And I believe this year we can go 14-0 and get a natty. That's what I believe.
And what are you
In my heart.
Are you
What do I base that on?
Yeah, are you basing that on primarily like the improvement Hartman's going to bring to the team or a belief in Marcus
No.
year 1 to year 2? Like, what is the crux of that belief?
My belief in that is the way Marcus Freeman has coached this team in the last year and a half, and the fact that we got a really good quarterback and a really good offensive line this year. That's where I'm going with it.
Yep. Now, okay. If I was going to push back on you on that, I'd say Notre Dame's got a particularly challenging schedule this year. How you don't see that? Like you're accounting for that and you still feel confident, even though this is a very, very tough schedule. Like if you look at the last 10 years of Notre Dame schedules, last year and this year have to be on the high end of difficulty. You got the marquee 3 last year and this year again. You still feel that confident?
The last 2 years of Notre Dame schedule has been incredibly hard. I fully agree with that. But here we go. You get a year to challenge your team, and then you get a year to prove the team you have. And that is where I think Marcus Freeman is. This year, he's going to prove. He's going to make the whole fucking world know the kind of team he has built this year.
Man, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I do. I hope you're right. But there's just so many things that I have questions about that I cannot trust until I see it being good enough with my own eyes, primarily against Ohio State. I think Notre Dame could go 4-0 early, even with some deficiencies in the team. Ohio State's going to be that first test. I got to get the answers I need out of that test, which is Hartman on the big stage under the bright lights against Ohio State, and primarily how our defense is going to do against Ohio State in that moment. I got to see those things.
Well, you know, I'm sitting here watching your show on my TV, and people are calling me crazy or whatever. I just got this feeling.
Well, then we're going to go with that. I'm going to go with
They can't come up with us. They can't stop us, because I feel Marcus Freeman is going to be the Lou Holtz of this generation.
I hope so.
I
And
really do.
he certainly has the modern messaging, the genuine demeanor. Like he has all of the features that I would want a modern Notre Dame coach to have. but it has to be proven on the field. Wins and losses, ultimately,
Yeah,
it isn't going to matter. It isn't going to matter how cool I think Freeman is and how sharp of a dresser he is. I am going to need wins.
And John, you know what, bro? I love the hell out of you. I love what you do. And you're totally right. He's got to prove it on the field. And Pat has got to start getting a little more serious because he's smiling way too much.
He likes to have a good time. We're going to shut that shit down, Pat. Quit having such a good time.
Domerwap just dropped Hall and Oates rules, and that just cracked me up for some reason. but Nick, are you coming to Central Michigan?
I'm gonna try.
You're gonna bring your wife, right? Because I had a lot more fun talking to her than I had talking to you.
Oh wow, Pat.
Yeah,
that's hurtful, man.
She was so enjoyable though, but she was a joy to talk to, man. I loved her too.
Nick, she had some knowledge, man. She was like, no, Pat, we're getting into this right now. I listened to that show on Tommy.
Maybe. No, but Nick, your wife called me out on some things too. She pulled me aside and she goes, John, I know when you say this is what you mean. And I know when you do this is why you do this and this and that. She nailed me on like 3 different things, man. Everything she said was right. She was right about a lot of stuff.
You're on the phone with her husband. Jeez.
Hey, she's like empathic witch.
She's like a medium. She's like a medium. She can feel my spirit. And she called me out on a bunch. She called me out on a bunch of stuff, and I was like, "Oh man, you're right about all that." I'm embarrassed. She nailed me.
Hey, I've been married to her for 25 years. She's called me out on everything, ever.
Yeah, but at least she lives with you. She only sees me on the TV. And then she met me, and she was like, "John, you do this and you do that." And when you do this, it's because of that. She was right about all of it. And it was a little scary, but I love her for it.
Here's the funny thing, John. I watched your show like 7 years ago, and I loved it. And I just wanted to help you make this show better, your show better. And I just thought you and her and us meeting would be fun. And if she could help you, there you go.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun. We had a lot of fun.
Nick, I think you had a long conversation with my wife as well, didn't you? Or your wife? I think your wife talked to my wife for a little bit.
Yeah, that's dangerous, Pat. That's dangerous. Nick, I really appreciate the call, my friend. I want you to, hey, you need to make sure you guys can make it for Central Michigan. Don't BS me. Maybe we'll show up. Yeah, it's going to be a big party. I want you guys there. Make an effort to be there.
Hey, John, Pat, thank you for everything you do. You guys are great. Love your show. John, keep it up. If I can help you in any way, I'll always do it.
Appreciate it very much, my friend. You have a good rest of the weekend. Tell your wife, Pat and I said hi, and hopefully we'll see you in about a month and a half, my friend. Have a good weekend.
All right, brother.
Take care.
All right.
What a nice guy. Nice guy. 707, last caller of the night. 707, we're in heaven. What's going on?
Yes, is this Domino's Pizza?
Yes, I would like to order 3 extra larges with sausage and pepperoni and deliver them fast.
Well, I felt obligated to call because you guys were making a big fuss, and I appreciate it. And I want to say thank you to you, John and Pat, and all you guys in the chat.
But you're
even Roger Dodger, the USC fan.
You are a regular, loyal listener. You're there on all the morning shows. I mean, I want to make sure. I mean, what did we do? Me and Pat piss you off or what?
Yeah, it was just that it's probably been over a year since you made a post of mine. You put it up there, so I was just like, why am I never getting you up there on a post for the chat? So
listen, man, I
started
gotta
getting
tell
a little
you,
bit.
I gotta tell you, man.
I know you explained.
The busier that it gets, it's good and it's bad, because the more traffic we have and the more comments, that's a good sign that we're gaining steam and more people are involved. I am not smart enough to keep up with it all.
Keep up with it.
I just can't.
Fast too.
I just can't keep up with all of it. Like, I'm always looking to make sure the view is right. I'm looking at my notes. I'm looking at the comments. I'm trying to talk to Pat. I'm on the call trying to listen, and I got to monitor how many calls are waiting and who it is and their history.
Yeah.
I am not smart enough to be able to navigate all of those features, but I want you to know that I recognize you are a regular morning guy, and I value that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that too, because I think you do have the best show. You probably have the best show, period, on YouTube. There's the voice of college football that gets a lot of people, but it's mostly the Midwest, and they mostly hate Notre Dame, so they can't be objective. But I think your chat is probably the most objective. We're obviously rabid in our Notre Dame-dom, but I think we also are pretty lenient in talking to people.
Joe, you know what really blows my mind? I am a little surprised at the audience we've been able to maintain through the dog days of the off season.
Right.
Like, where there is not much going on, you got to have a screw loose to be tuning into this every single day. Like that is a unique brain structure. Like, everybody who's in it in the dog days of June and May and into July, like you got to have a certain mindset to want to engage this much. And what I'm experiencing now is the hibernation people, they're starting to come back out. Some of these screen names I haven't seen since like December. You forget about them. People are coming out of hibernation. And I think call-in shows 1 minute after games, I don't know what that audience is going to be like, but I am interested to find out.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. I mean, this is the off season, and you're building and building. Imagine, once the season starts, the thing is, we are very passionate. I don't know if there's a more passionate fan base, because I think we all know you either are one of us or you hate us. And that's, like Roger Dodger, the USC guy, I think he respects Notre Dame, and Tim Prangley, who talks about USC. I think those guys respect Notre Dame, but outside of USC, there's not a whole lot of respect given to Notre Dame, and they haven't earned it. It's been 35 years, so I get it.
That's a good point.
But that's what just makes us all the more fuel boiling, just trying to get this season ready to go, because, I think we're going to be good enough to be 11-1 this year. I think we're going to beat 2 out of the 3 and maybe all 3 and have a stupid loss.
Yeah. You know what? If I get pressed on it, look at Anthony says, John has the same ND passion as Lou Holtz if he was drunk and angry. I'll take that as a compliment, actually. I'm not even going to be offended by that. You know what surprises me is we got a couple of Alabama guys that are in here every day now. We have the Clemson guy. Yeah, we have a Clemson guy that's in here on most of the morning shows. And I don't know why. I have no idea why. But we are gaining Ohio State followers. I have no idea why, other than we both hate Michigan. But we keep gaining Ohio State followers. And it blows my mind why anybody other than a Notre Dame lunatic would be here every week. But I'm happy to have them. I'm glad people find this entertaining.
Yeah, well, I think we woke up a little bit of Ohio State. Like, they were always considering us a pushover because they never played us. But in that last game that we played them pretty tough, considering Jared Patterson didn't play in that game. Buckner was making his very first start.
Yeah.
And is very, it was all very first.
Wait.
time for everything
Wait. You're bringing something into my mind. Let me bring this up to you. Bama Charlie, by the way, says, Bama Charlie, it's because you have the best show on YouTube. I appreciate that very much. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I'll take the compliment. But you brought
I
up,
think it's accurate.
You brought up a very good point. And let me ask you this. When you look at last year against Ohio State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, it was painfully obvious to all of us that the game plan was written to be very conservative on Buckner. It was obvious they did not want to put too much pressure on him, to have to do too much, to have to make too many plays, whatever, limit the mistake, all of that stuff. And ultimately, I think that ended up costing Notre Dame because they matched up against a team with the talent that could grind Notre Dame down if Notre Dame wasn't willing to take some chances on offense, pass the ball around, do all that stuff. They wanted to keep Buckner in this little cocoon so nothing catastrophic could happen, and it ended up costing Notre Dame. Flip that.
Yeah.
Flip it.
And that was
Flip it. Now you got Hartman, a sixth-year quarterback, going against a first-time starter at Ohio State. The table should be turned this year, damn it.
But really, you know what? The biggest unknown to this season is going to be our offensive coordinator. The guy who was a tight ends coach, he has very, very limited amount of being an offensive coordinator calling plays. We just don't know what we're going to get from him.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. And I've heard this on other shows talking about, for as young and modern as Tommy Rees is, he still likes to lean on the running game, and that's in his DNA, even as young and as modern as he is. And I've heard people say, Parker's going to want to throw it around. You do not bring Sam Hartman in here on a 6-year deal where the whole point is for him to increase his NFL stock just to hand the ball off. Do you think they're really going to? Do you think they're going to open it up and let him rip it around? I hope they do.
Yeah, I do too, because last year, it was somewhat justifiable because we had a three-headed monster. We had Diggs and Estime and Tyree. So,
yeah.
I'm not too afraid of, and the two tackles. So I'm not too ashamed that we were trying to run the ball and eat up clock because our quarterback was incompetent.
Now you brought something else up that I wanted to bring up, and I'm glad you brought it up. I think personally, if used wisely, Chris Tyree could be Notre Dame's secret weapon on offense. You slip that guy into space somewhere and just get him the ball with a little wiggle room, and he could jitterbug his way and move all over and do what he does. I think he could be a secret weapon. It was never his strength to hand the ball off to Chris Tyree on a north-south run. That is not utilizing his skill set. This could be, and I hope they find all sorts of stuff to be able to get the ball to him with a little bit of room and then see what he does with it.
Yeah. We had Procise learn a new position, and he did pretty good at it. But Tyree, I'd love to see him be like a little TJ Jones kind of guy, like exact route running and being in sync with the quarterback. But, this is their first year together, and, we don't know what that'll bring. I mean, I'd love to see it click, but, I'm more looking forward to seeing Hartman hook up with Jaden Thomas. I think that's going to be the go-to this year.
Yeah, you know what? I've been saying this. Jaden Thomas slowly has developed into Notre Dame's reliable go-to consistent guy. I am not convinced that he's elite at anything, but I know he's going to be where he has to be, and he's going to catch the balls. He is their most reliable wide receiver right now entering the year. I agree with that.
Yeah, and he's going to win a lot of one-on-one battles. You
Yeah,
know,
he's bigger than a
50-50.
lot of people think. He's bigger and more physical than a lot of people think. I do agree with that.
Yeah. And then another thing I would say is somebody in that chat asked who you guys thought should be the captains. I don't think you guys saw that, but I don't think you answered it. But who do you think?
So here, okay,
Go ahead, Pat. Go ahead, Pat.
Leaders identify themselves. I'm not in that room, so I have no opinion on it. I think the captains are the people who stand up and lead this football team, and they are people who say, we are not going to lose to Marshall, we are not going to lose to Stanford, and they motivate this football team.
John, what do you think?
I mean, I want Joe Alt to be a captain just because I think he is a physical, dominating force, going to be an NFL guy. That's like a leader of your offense. Let me ask you this. How do people feel about naming Hartman a captain? He is the quarterback, and that is the undisputed most important position on the team. However, he just showed up here. He's not used to Notre Dame life. He didn't put in 3 or 4 years of hard Notre Dame work developing with all these guys. However, what, Pat?
What does that matter?
I don't know if it matters. That's why I'm bringing up the question.
He's a leader.
Huh?
If he's a leader, he's a leader.
That's why I'm asking that question. I don't know if that gets awkward if a guy just showed up and he's named captain, and if other guys feel like I spent all this time doing Notre Dame stuff and now I'm an upperclassman and I don't get that designation. But there's no doubt that Sam Hartman's going to be the leader of a team. Come on.
Well, I'll tell you my 4. I think they should have 4, and I think they should be the 2 tackles, Blake Fisher, Joe Alt.
I cannot disagree with that.
On defense, 2 guys on defense, Botelho and Benjamin Morrison. Because these are guys that the referees are going to, I want them to see their faces and see their numbers and see that they're a captain. So I don't want to get any holding calls on our tackles. And I want Botelho not to be held and to be able to make his rushes. And then Benjamin Morrison, he's going to be guarding everyone's best receiver probably the whole season.
Now, okay, now wait.
So
now let me ask you this, because you have one outlier. When I look at common themes among the guys you just suggested as Notre Dame captains, here's what I'm going to say. Everybody except for Botelho has pretty much proven on the field that they're worthy of captaincy. I don't feel that we've seen that from Botelho yet. However, I think he has the mentality that I want a captain now because I know he's a killer. I know Botelho's going out there to knock somebody's face off. And I love that. And I want a Notre Dame leader to be like that. But he doesn't exactly have the track record to be a captain. But he has I know that kid has the mentality I want.
But he stepped in for Isaiah Foskey in the Gator Bowl, and he had 2 sacks, and he had some tackles for losses too. So, you know, he did good when the big games counted, and that's the kind of guys I want. Well, I want gamers.
Hey,
you know,
he's assuming that Foskey role. I need him to knock some heads off this year. Like, I need that guy to unleash. This is his time. He's going to be that guy coming off the edge, and I know he could deliver a hit when he gets there, but I need to see it. And Morrison is interesting too, because that would be a very young captain. However, nobody could argue he won the most consistent elite performer on that defense, and he's earned it. Like, even as a young guy, his play on the field in that position group has earned it, and I would have no problem with that. He has earned it by his play in the biggest moments.
I think so too, and I think that if you have the referees and officials see him as a captain, you know, they might not call so many. Like, they get to see his face and his number when they walk up to center midfield, and you know, they're gonna maybe they'll think twice about calling a personal foul on him for doing something because he's a captain, you know, and they need that at that cornerback. You know, that's going to be That's always the toughest position in football, I think. Cornerback is just like no glory, hardly ever. You make quarterback makes a bad pass, you can get an interception, but other than that, you are just always just losing more than you win.
And you know what, man? It's funny you bring that up. I've always thought that. And the reason why is when you're in that position, you're always reacting to what the offense does. And to me, that always gives them the advantage because you have to react to their first move. Like they always have the inside leverage. I feel like that corner position it's a lot of reacting and then overcompensating because you have got to react to what the offensive guy does first. It's a tough position and one Notre Dame
and Morrison as a freshman. I've never seen, Todd Light started his whole career too, but he was really a longtime pro. He was fantastic. That's what I'm seeing out of his first year from him. I see nothing but greatness for him. I saw him, I think it was a Clemson game, but I don't remember now, but he went against their tight end and the guy caught the ball and he's running down the sideline and Morrison just stood him up and tackled him. Like he must have been giving up 40, 50 pounds to the guy.
Yeah. Nope. He's a dog. And you know what else too?
I want him to be captain.
Joe, you know what else too? You know what?
Defense and two big guys like Blake Fisher and Joe all walking out this midfield. I
like that. I like that. There's a reason that when teams get off buses, that they have the offensive line go first. There's a reason for that. It's a mentality. Like there is literally a reason when teams show up off the plane or the bus, they want that offensive line coming off first. And it's to instill that idea of like, our big old badasses are here. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. However, here's what I want to bring up. That's vintage stuff, Pat. I like that. Did you steal that from your dad? That was alive before you were.
I did.
Yeah, I know you did. Give it back to Big Jim. Give it back to Big Jim. You don't need it.
Awesome.
What I was going to say is, Joe, I've been stressing out about Notre Dame's recruiting, like I would do, worried about it. And then people will say, John, you want all these 4 and 5 stars. One of your best guys on defense, Morrison, was a 3-star. You don't need all those guys. Like, you could bring up that example, but I would still feel better if we were laden with 4 and 5-star recruits. I would just think the odds of them developing into something are much greater than with the majority of 3 stars. But whenever I bring up the recruiting complaint, I don't hear you complaining about Joe Alt, who is criminally underrated, and what Morrison's turned into. What do you make of that? Am I right or wrong? Am I recruiting concerned?
No, I love it. I love what actually, I don't know how much credit we can give Rudolph because he hasn't even been there a year yet for recruiting, but we've done pretty well on offensive line. But who I'm really surprised at is everyone's given a bad time to Al Washington, but I think he did one of the best jobs in college football in recruiting freshmen this year. I think we're going to be very strong.
Yeah,
they're going to be. It's not going to be this year because they're all not going to get on the field because we have some hella studs that are going to be coming back. So I think Al Washington is going to be surprising a few people, come the season when we start applying the pressure that Golden likes to do.
Yeah,
we just have to be in sync when we're making a blitz. It's got to be like, you cannot stop me. I am coming in and I am getting the guy.
Yeah.
You are not going to stop me. And so if their mentality is all focused on that, I think our offense or defensive line is going to be very sturdy this year. And the backups, these kids that are coming in, are going to be even better. So when this 12-team playoff comes around, I'm going to see us in there every year,
Man.
The only shame in it all is that we won't get a week off to recuperate like a lot of the other conferences get automatic bids or something. That's bullshit.
Yeah, you're right about that.
That's what Swarbrick left us with, so that's what we have to deal with. But
wouldn't you think, Joe, do you think that if we get into this 12-team situation, I believe 10-2 Notre Dame is probably in most years. Do you agree or disagree with that? I think
Well,
a 10-2 Notre Dame is going to be close.
You know, like if they beat USC and Ohio State and Clemson, and then they lose, you know, to North Carolina State and Duke or something like that, it's possible because those are going to be those guys all last year played in their conference championship, didn't they? Notre Dame played USC played Utah for the championship, I think, didn't they?
I believe so.
Or did they not? Maybe I'm wrong.
I think so, because they lost to him twice. That's the only way that could happen, right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's right.
It's got to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so they played Clemson, and they were the conference champion. And Ohio State, I guess, lost to Michigan, so they didn't get the conference champion, but they got in the playoffs. So, you know, if they can beat those guys, it depends on who their losses are to. But a 10-2 in a 12 game, you know, you beat those caliber 3 teams like that, you could get in, whereas there'd be no chance, like with it only being a 4-team, Notre Dame hardly gets in with 1 loss.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, but then I get into the tricky discussion of what's an easier path for Notre Dame? Like the 2012 BCS path where you got to go undefeated to make it, but once you make it, you only have to be better than that team that night by 1 point and you're the champion, or the flexibility of being able to lose a game or 2, still make the playoff, so you have a wider opportunity to make it. But once you're in, it's a lot harder to survive because Notre Dame's going to have to beat a string of top 10-ish teams. I don't know what's easier for us. More rolls at the dice, but harder once you're in, or it's harder to get in, but once you're in, you only got to do good once or twice. I don't know what I'm not sure what benefits us more.
Well, our track record shows that the 12 team will be to our advantage, right?
Yeah, well, you have a good point there.
Every time it's the 4 team.
Yeah, well, you have a good point. But the other issue is, man, in 2012, that was a unbelievable Alabama team we lost to. Like every time we made the playoff, we're losing to these amazing teams. 18 Clemson was amazing. And then that Alabama team was really good. Like we're not getting any breaks when we do make it. That's for sure. We've been facing legitimately elite squads.
And without a quarterback. So this time we have a quarterback.
Is that important? I don't know. You know, if that's important to you at all, you know, I don't know if that matters. But, you know, for those of you that care, yeah, that's kind of a big point.
Right. So this will be our first time in years that we've had a quarterback, you know, going into the season that we're confident in, right? And we don't even know really what this guy's about yet. Like we saw the preseason, whatever, that spring game with Greathouse, so it looked like he can get the ball to the guy, and that guy was able to catch it. So
yeah,
you know, if he can get the ball to guys and limit his turnovers, you know, like I'd love to see if he goes like 24 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I think we're in the playoffs, even with 1 loss.
Yeah. Well, and especially with this schedule, I think an 11-1 Notre Dame could make a really, really good case just because that schedule is robust. And if you go 11-1, it probably means you're beating 2 of the big 3 unless something really silly happens. But even if Notre Dame went 11-1 and somehow missed the playoff, I'm going to be thrilled. What, Pat?
It probably means you're beating 2. If you go 11-1, it probably means you're beating 2 of the big 3.
And Alabama and Georgia, and then Ohio State and Michigan and USC. So,
wait a second. Wait. What are you laughing at, Pat? We could lose. Huh?
So who are you losing to if you go 11-1?
I don't know. Are you losing to? You're losing
so
a game to somebody. I don't know who it's going to be to. What if you beat the shit out of the big 3 and lose to some dumb team, Pat? I don't know. If you beat Ohio State, USC, and Clemson, you're in the playoff. I don't give a shit who you lose, unless you lose to Stanford at the end of the year. You're in the damn playoff. Well, whatever. Laugh your little silly ass off there then. I don't care. I'm just saying. I don't know who we're going to lose to. I don't know how it's going to shape up. Joe, let me ask you this. You're a longtime guy, okay? What's more important to you, beating Ohio State or beating USC?
absolutely Ohio State this year.
And is that unique because of where they're positioned in the schedule? Meaning, if the positioning was different, it would vary. How much of that is based on that is the first test of the big three versus overall? Explain your position,
I think
please.
the idea is that Ohio State has a lot more credibility in the game today than USC. So if we beat Ohio State, that's a bigger win than beating USC. We've beaten USC a lot in the past. We have not beaten Ohio State.
Yeah, 1936, I believe. Pat, you want to push back? Go ahead.
Credibility matters not in yesterday, but today. This season, 2024, who will be the better football team? Okay? Who will be the better football team? Is it USC or Ohio State? I think USC is going to be a better football team based on what this guy's done out there. And at the end of the day, if you are going to hold on. If you're going to lose in college football, you lose early.
Right. I agree with that. But I think that the Midwest and the South look at Ohio State as a better team than they do USC, and with good reason. USC has been bad for a lot of the last 5 years or so. They just aren't good.
What does that matter if they're not bad this
year? They got Riley, and they won a lot of games. They had a Heisman winner and like a 2-time Heisman winner. So,
right.
they're obviously going to be a very tough game. But in terms of getting the popular opinion and giving Notre Dame credibility, I think you have to beat Ohio State because you just haven't done it. And that's who they think is the best team from the Big Ten every year. So
no, they don't. They think Michigan is because Michigan beats them.
But I could be wrong. They think Michigan, but Michigan wasn't great for a lot of years too. So
yeah,
I think it's Ohio State that's the most important win we have to do. And because it's the first one, that's even more important. But it won't be as important if we win that. USC will be more important because they'll be next. And then if we
then it's Clemson. Then it's exactly
the most important game.
Yeah, it all transfers. And I think that's a big part of the reason that when we discuss the marquee three, USC and Ohio State get a lot of the attention. And I think the reason is the position in the schedule where Clemson is late enough into November where people are saying, I'll worry about that when we get to that point and see how many losses we have and Clemson has to then determine how big of a game that is, where everybody's figuring early.
Huge. If we're good, if we get past those other two, we have to go to Clemson to win.
Yeah.
So it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And they're going to be good this year. They have a very good defense, and I like that guy Klubnik.
Yeah.
And I like they have a very good receiver too. So
yeah. And I think listen, Dabo's taken some arrows for some things. Make no mistake about it. That guy is pissed off about last year. He is going to have those guys ready. And when we go to Death Valley that night, it is going to be a very intense environment. My only hope is I hope that it matters nationally for both teams by the time we get to that point, that game. I hope the playoff is on the line for us and Clemson and everybody else who wants to make it to where it's must-see TV because what happens in that game determines playoff positions.
Yeah, and you know what else is huge is the coaching matchups, like with those three teams, because the guy from Ohio State, everyone knows he's proven it. He stepped in and didn't lose a step. And then, Dabo, I watched their spring game, and that guy, he's definitely got the edge over Freeman for me, but because I saw what he.
Well, how can he not?
He was
Joe.
He was mic'd up. They had him mic'd up, and he knew everything that was happening with every player. And he said, "Watch this guy. Watch this play."
Yeah,
and he
but really, but listen,
calling plays.
The guys won championships, so nobody could compare Freeman's resume to that guy. The guys won championships, so it's going to be interesting.
That's a problem, right?
Yeah, it is. But I want to get to that game and have the playoff on the line. That's my big priority. So let's hope we make it that far. Joe, it's been.
I want to also say I want to really beat Riley. Like I'm saying Ohio State, but I'll tell you, Riley, from the first play of the game against USC, he had Notre Dame on their toes. They threw the kitchen sink at Notre Dame. You watch those first 2 or 3 drives, and Notre Dame didn't know what the hell was coming off.
Yeah.
And then you have their quarterback, Caleb Williams, that was the game of his career, you know?
Yeah.
So it was, and it still only wound up being an 11-point win, just like Ohio State. So, we're not really that far away from greatness.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know, man. And maybe Sam Hartman makes that difference this year. Maybe his presence and what he could bring to the offense, something we haven't seen, a guy able to make all those throws. Maybe it makes all the difference. We'll see, my friend. But hey, thanks for giving me a call on a late Friday night. Maybe it's not in California. You're 2 hours behind, aren't you?
John, it's Saturday.
Yeah, it's just getting dark now.
Oh, yeah, Saturday. Yeah, whatever, Pat. A minute ago, you said 2024. You don't even have the right year. I was off by an hour. You were off by a year. So take a seat, buddy.
An hour.
You said
An hour.
24.
You're off by a day, dude.
Huh? Whatever. Anyways, Joe, thanks for calling, my friend. We're going to ramp up here, and it's going to get exciting. From here on. The ramp, we're building it into the season, and it's going to be wild, my friend. Thanks for giving me a call.
You bet. Thank you for taking the call, and thank you for the kind words of you and Pat and all those guys there in the chat. It was appreciated.
No problem, my friend.
That's everybody, and go Irish.
Have a good weekend. Go Irish. Love it. See ya. What do you think, Pat?
The guy is the best player in college football. We're talking about a Heisman winning trophy quarterback. He's coming back. He's got another year of college football before he can go pro.
And
there are going to be more people invested in that game to see what he won a Heisman Trophy against Notre Dame's defense.
Yep.
Okay? Nobody can tell me that, the Ohio State. Who's the Ohio State starting quarterback? Right? I know there's some of you who will probably know, but
what is it going to be, McLeod or whatever his name is? I don't know. I mean, whatever.
Who cares? This guy may repeat as a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. He's made a number 1 pick in the NFL draft.
Okay.
Nobody is going to watch this game more than the Ohio State game will not compare to the USC game. You have to beat USC for so many. You have to beat USC because they're your number 1 rival. You have to beat USC because
I get all that. But every week we do this, you refuse to accept the point that people value where Ohio State's at in the schedule.
Which means they're stupid because Ohio State comes early in the schedule.
So don't you want to beat them and gain momentum ahead to USC? Or would you rather lose it and all the fans are in the shitter and then everybody goes, we're not elite again?
If I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose.
You don't believe in that ramp? That if you
don't.
win that game and you're undefeated, then you're 5-0, you're a top 5 team. That's a big deal. You don't believe in that? You don't value that?
No. I believe in closing strong. If you're telling me Notre Dame has to lose a game, they have to lose one of those games, I don't have a choice. I can't say Notre Dame wins them all. I am losing to Ohio State because they come first. They're the 5th week of the schedule for Notre Dame. They're the 5th game in the schedule. That means they have 7 more football games to play to get back to it. And if you beat USC and you beat Clemson and you beat everyone else in that schedule, you're an 11-1 team who hasn't lost in like 8-9 weeks. You're going to a playoff.
I think
you lose to USC, you lose to Clemson, you got a much, much harder road to play.
Yes, you do. But what I think the issue is, Pat, I don't think you believe in seasonal momentum as much as a lot of these other people do.
What does that even mean?
What does it mean is if you beat Ohio State, you have momentum. And then if you're capable of beating Ohio State, you're capable of beating USC. And if you lose to Ohio State, everybody's going to be in the shitter saying we're not elite again. What do you not get?
The conversation has never been. This is saying if Notre Dame has to lose one of those 3 games.
But they're not all in a vacuum. They're on a continuum over time that build. That's what people are saying, Pat. They're saying if you beat Ohio State
later games,
huh?
You can't be losing in October or November. You cannot do it. You don't go to the championship if you're losing in October or November. You don't do it.
I just think people think that what happens in that Ohio State game is inherently connected to the outcomes of USC and Clemson. That's what I'm feeling, Pat. If you lose Ohio State, then you're probably going to lose to USC too, because we think USC is better than Ohio State. So if you're going to lose to Ohio State, why would I think you could beat USC? Yeah, I like you in the dark. Cover your face.
If the conversation has always been, if
you got the clapper,
we do this
clap, but that's a different issue.
Okay, so John, if it comes down to what's the most important game in the schedule, Navy, because that's the next game.
Yeah, but that's a boring argument. You can't run a race. You can't run a YouTube show based off what are we going to do against Navy, Pat? Give me a goddamn break.
What are you talking about? We've been talking about playing Navy and with the option, and we always talk about it.
You know what I'm saying. You want
the
me to
next game is always the most important.
You want me to run a YouTube channel and sit here all summer just talk about Navy because it's the first game in the Navy. You can sail the 7 seas. Give me a break. You know, people. Come on. I'm not letting you cheap out and go, let's just talk about Navy. It's summer. But we got to look at the big picture.
But if we're talking about the importance of the games and because if USC was before Ohio State, is that the more important game?
I think you would have a lot more people saying that if the USC game was in the position that the Ohio State game is in the schedule. I think I would see a lot more people saying that. I do. I think where it's at in the schedule is mattering to a lot of people. Ohio State's the litmus test.
Sure,
people think that if you lose to Ohio State, you're going to lose to USC too. That's what I think's going on.
I understand that. They're wrong. It's wrong. You beat USC. Again, point number 1. They're your number 1 rival.
Yeah, but I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I'm telling you why people have that opinion. I've seen it all summer, and I think it's because of it's the first of the big 3. It's the first big test. And I get why people value that first big litmus test as a major indicator of the rest of the year.
Okay, fine. You lose by 3 points. I get it. You lose by 3 points.
Huh?
You lose by 3 points. Does it matter?
Let me
ask you this question. You lose by 17 or you lose by 3, but you beat USC and you beat Clemson. You win out the rest of your games. You go 11-1. Does the margin of the loss matter to Ohio State?
Well, no, because you're
no, it doesn't.
That's only because you built in that we're beating the other 2.
Okay.
If you're going to build in that we're 11-1, then you could lose by as many as you want, go 11-1. But
exactly.
Why?
No. All right. What about the Clemson game? Hold on, back up. Let's take USC out of it. What about the Clemson game? Let's say you lose the Clemson game by 17. You go to the playoff. You win every other game. You go 11-1. You get blown out by Clemson. Are you going to the playoff?
Probably not. If you get blown out by
probably
Clemson.
not.
But
probably not.
But Pat, to a bunch of these people, I think they view these as all being connected. People are figuring if you can't beat Ohio State with a new quarterback, Screw it. You're going to lose to USC's great Heisman quarterback if you can't beat Ohio State's new quarterback.
John,
I think that's what's in people's heads. And I get it.
I'm about to piss a lot of people off. I think what it is that a lot of Notre Dame fans, a lot of people who follow your show have grown up in Notre Dame-dom in the last 10, 12, 15 years. Okay? And they just see Notre Dame dominate USC. They've been watching Notre Dame win.
Yeah.
That's not what this is.
These are people that were 5-05. Is that what you mean? And they're like
right.
20 now.
And I'm sure there's gonna be some people who are like, oh, I started watching Notre Dame since 1952. Whatever. Yeah. Fine. This is your number one rival. This is the game that you get up for. It doesn't matter if you're 11-0 or 0-11. You're gonna win this. This is what it matters. It's all about USC. Every year, your number one litmus test, did we beat USC? That's it. Did we beat USC?
Now wait.
Every single season, USC is your number one game.
Wait. You say that now, but did you really feel that when they were in the middle of bottoming out and you knew they were bad and they were like a 500 team? Did
Absolutely.
You still feel that way?
You know what I took from it? I was like, oh my God, they suck. Let's roll this team. Let's beat them by 50 points. Because it's USC. And John, you know I'm right. You're asking me that question, but you got the same goddamn answer I have.
Yeah, I mean, it was easy to take USC for granted when they're in the dumpster. And it's one of the biggest benefits Bayou Bengal Brian had is that he
played a bad USC
team.
They were down. So he got to get wins over the biggest rival. Easy wins over the biggest rival. He got 2 coaches fired. All right. And think about that. He got 2 coaches fired. Notre Dame losing to USC losing to Notre Dame got coaches fired at USC.
Yeah.
All right. So think about that dynamic as a Notre Dame fan. That's what they think of us. And now they hired one of the best offensive coaches in college football who just went out and stacked his defense. Everyone wants to talk about Ohio State's. When's the last time Ohio State won anything outside of the Big Ten? Which they can't even do against Michigan anymore. Ohio State is not the program you're measuring yourself against. USC is the up-and-coming team. They're going to be the better football team this year. I know Ohio State went to the playoff. They only go to the playoff because USC shits their pants against Utah.
Yeah. Hey, listen. You know I value USC over everything else. I am just saying I can understand Notre Dame fans overvaluing Ohio State because of its position in the schedule. I'm admitting it's overvaluing it.
It's overvalued.
But I can understand why they see that as the first big test, game 5, as the indicating arrow of what the rest of the season's going to be. Pat, these people are not figuring we're going to lose to Ohio State with a new quarterback at home, and then we're going to beat USC with the Heisman guy and then go beat Clemson on the road. People, I think, are wrapping Ohio State into this whole thing and extrapolating it. That's what I think's going on. They're not looking at it like you are in a vacuum of you play a tough game to Ohio State at home, you lose by 3 or 6, clean slate, and then you play USC and beat them or whatever. People are figuring if you can't beat Ohio State with the first-year quarterback when you have a 6th-year one, you're definitely not going to beat USC. That's what they're figuring. And so that's why they're valuing that one first, I think. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Tim B, dude, you are a mental pet. OSU wasn't almost a champ last year. No way TCU wins that game either. Hey, guess what? They lost. They lost to Michigan. They didn't win the Big Ten championship, and then they lost to Georgia. I don't care where they took Georgia. They lost to Georgia. So they weren't anywhere near the national championship. They couldn't even win the Big Ten. They're not even the best team in the Big Ten. Michigan is, and Michigan has been bad. All right? Michigan lost to TCU.
Who didn't even win.
Who got destroyed by Georgia. All right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear it. You cannot. There's no presentation anyone can give me that's going to make me believe that Ohio State is the epitome. They're not. They are not. Okay? They can't get out of the Big Ten. They got lucky because USC shit the bed against it. USC. The comparison. USC. And by the way, USC just went out and stacked themselves. Because you know what? In Southern California, they expect you to play defense. And they went and told this offensive genius and said, you better fix this shit. You better fix this shit. So what do you want? He went out and got a bunch of defensive guys in the transfer portal. The epitome for Notre Dame this year is beating USC. You have to beat USC.
Pat, what do you think about this? Ohio State guy, Drew McFly. If ND was in the Big Ten, they'd be the fourth best team at best.
Is USC in the Big Ten?
Not yet.
If USC's in the Big Ten, I don't disagree with that. I think USC is the best team in the Big Ten.
So it'd be what? Michigan, Ohio State, USC, Notre Dame? Something, one of those orders?
I would say right now the order is USC, Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame.
Yeah. Pat, all I'm telling you is I don't think people are looking at these games as individualized as you are. And they're looking at Ohio State as an indicator of what's going to be against USC and Clemson. They are not separating each of those games out in a vacuum the way you are.
What bothers John, it's not about a vacuum and separating. It's about the fact that I'm a Notre Dame fan. I hate every team that plays against Notre Dame. There is one team I want to suffer the worst consequences of hell. And that's Southern California, the University of Southern California. I hate that school. I hate everything it stands for. Everything that USC stands for is the opposite of what Notre Dame stands for.
Yep.
Okay?
100%. The way they operate, the way they think,
everything
what they value,
it's
everything.
The opposite of Notre Dame.
Yep.
So I don't care if USC is the worst team on Notre Dame's schedule. It's the biggest game on Notre Dame's schedule.
Yeah.
And you can never convince me otherwise. And if you try to convince me otherwise, I'm going to question your Notre Dame fandom. Because you clearly do not understand the history of this school.
Yeah.
You don't understand what put us where we're at. It is traveling to Southern California that put us where we're at.
Well, Pat, you got to realize a lot of these Notre Dame fans now, if they're in their mid-20s or whatever, they've never lived through USC being elite. They were too young for Bush Push, Pete Carroll, and they weren't alive earlier when USC caused us problems decades ago. Yeah. Those people only know USC being bad, and they don't know what it's like when USC's good. All those kids in their 20s, they have no concept of Bush Push or Pete Carroll or any of that shit.
You know what? That's what it's about. It's not about. It's about. I want revenge for that. I want revenge every year for it. Yeah. Every goddamn season.
Yeah. It's never enough to make up for that. Yeah.
I want Lincoln Riley to get fired because he can't beat Notre Dame. Yeah. I don't want Marcus Freeman to get fired because he can't beat USC. And I'll tell you what, if anyone ever interacts with a donor, a big money guy who gives money to the university, he doesn't give money to the school because you beat Ohio State. He gives money to the school because you beat USC. And you know what he doesn't give money to school? He doesn't give money when you lose to USC. Okay? It's Southern California.
Yeah.
You have to beat them. It's unacceptable. We've had this conversation before. John, what's worse? Freeman going 0-2 to Ohio State or 0-2 to USC?
USC, but we play them every year. We have all that existential history. It's USC, no doubt. But I'm telling you.
NC Notre Dame fan. Hold on. NC Notre Dame fan. So, Pat, if Georgia was on the schedule this year, USC will still be the bigger game. Yes. Yes, they would, because it's your number one rival. Just like when Georgia plays Florida and Florida sucks, it's their number one rival. When Alabama plays Auburn, even though Alabama has dominated Auburn for a decade, that's their number one rival. That's always the biggest game. Your number one rival is your biggest game.
Pat,
I wouldn't say I think you're a hipster.
Here's me and Pat. You whippersnappers don't respect this rivalry enough.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. Somebody shoot that horse. Pat, I'm just saying, I believe the positioning in the schedule matters. You know what would have been an interesting discussion, Pat? If you gave me, here's the teams that are going to be on Notre Dame's schedule, but not tell me where they're at in the weeks, and then do a discussion where you ask what's most important. I would like to know what that answer would be. I'm telling you, I got a strong feeling Ohio State being the first of the big three is why you're getting such a strong push there. People are taking that as the indicator of what the whole year is going to be. That's the answer, bud. You don't have to like it, but that's why.
So how important is Ohio State if you lose to North Carolina State?
That is a whole. We've gone 3.5 hours. That is a different discussion we can't even talk about. Because at that point, this turns from how good could the year be to you better beat Ohio State. And if you don't, you're going to have 2 losses and we're not even halfway through the year. And that's a nightmare. That is a whole different 3.5 hour discussion I am not prepared to have at this moment. All right, that's going to be it. Callers, there's a few more that popped up probably in response to what we said. We've gone 3.5 hours. That's going to be it for the night. We covered a lot of ground. The chat was fantastic tonight. We're getting a lot of action there. Pat, you were fantastic. All the donators, all the callers, everybody. This was a riot. I love it. I love you guys. And guess what? We're in the final stretches. We are ramping up. It is the countdown to kickoff, and I expect a lot more action in the chat and the calls as we get there. Everybody, appreciate it. There is no Always Irish without you guys. I love it. Thank you for everything. Have a good weekend, everybody. Be safe.